Say something.
Do it again.
Do it again. See, we have audio. You panicked, Micah. You panicked.
The blue light went off.
Oh yeah, you have to turn it on. See that's Micah. That's the way Bluetooth mics work. You have to plug it into your computer there. You have to turn it on. And you got all that. You want to try to.
I'm gonna go grab a cup. I'm just gonna clip it to it so it stands up in the middle.
Oh, that'll work. So I'm down. So it's down there now. Are you picking me up pretty good there? Yeah. It's funny. You gotta love technology. It's great. Everything's way easier than it was. You don't have to run cables anymore, but you do have to hit the on switch. Who knew? Who knew?
I can still hear you were testing it out there,
Yeah.
Crap about an on switch. Yes, that's my one downfall, on switches.
It's just like, cars. So we've got, hybrid cars. We've got EVs now. So that's great. You're not as dependent on gas. You still got to charge it, though. It's just like, we don't have to string mic cables and all over the place. We still got to turn them on. Who knew?
Right? Well, guys, like we said, we're live for BKFC 62. They're back in Hollywood, Florida. Last time they were in this venue, I got to be there live to see Austin Trout versus Luis Palomino. And now tonight we have 3 title fights in all. This is going to be an awesome card. The main event, Kai Stewart and Brian Duran, they hate each other. Like, the fight hype has escalated throughout the week to, kind of threats and other kind of cerebral games. You got a grinder versus a powerful knockout artist.
And fights are always better when the guys hit each other. Let's be honest.
And Kai Stewart has really, and he's made no bones about it, he idolizes Conor McGregor. So you know that he understands then the in and outs of working the fight game and promoting the fight. So attempting to get under his opponent's skin and engaging in a war of words is right up his alley.
I'm still having a hard time getting over the end of the prelim. I apologize. I'll get focused as we get going here. But you talk about gimmick infringement. And we had my one dude there in the feature fight on the prelims. His nickname was the Rated R Superstar, which, don't get me wrong, that's really cool. If it wasn't also the nickname of one of the most popular pro wrestlers of this century.
Was he also throwing out like a DX crotch chop or something?
No, he did the Alex Bajeda bow and arrow thing, but before the fight as well. So, I mean, he's like stealing from everybody. I'll steal from a little wrestling. I'll steal from a little UFC. Borrow. I'm sorry, not steal, borrow.
Just a little borrowing, just a little infringement. Yeah, I could see that.
Like, I could have lived with it if he had referred to himself as Disco Inferno. I mean, but nobody likes calling yourself the Macho Man. I mean, come on, dude. Everybody knows who the Macho Man is. Everybody knows who the Radio Superstar is. Come on.
Nicknames are always cooler when they're given to you and you don't come up with them yourself. That being said, I don't know anyone that couldn't have given themselves the name the Rated R Superstar. Like, that one's a story.
Why not just one-up it and be like the X-rated Superstar? Or even the Rated X Superstar? One-up Adam Copeland.
I'm surprised we haven't seen like a Mother effing Superstar. We got Jim effing Miller.
Well, that's true.
I think they said even Angela effing Hill, with her trying to be Jim Miller and Donald Cerrone with as active as she is fighting.
Yeah. Nicknames are overrated anyway. You just go out and be a badass and beat the heck out of people, and that's all it matters.
And it's just way too easy to name guys Pitbull. Who doesn't, come in stocky with their shoulders and you're like, Pitbull, just like Bellator.
That's funny because you're not wrong.
Exactly. It was a true joke, people. That's how it connected. First fight of the night, getting ready for it on this BKFC 62 main card. We got Leo Brashear, 4-1, taking on the unbeaten Leonardo Perdomo. Perdomo, Cuban boxer. I've talked to other people that are not in the division that think he can be a world champion. That his skill, that his precision is that elite level. You see the way he has balance, popping in and out. On the other side, Brashear is tough as nails. I actually saw both of these two fight when I was there for BKFC 57 in Florida last time. And Brashear, opponent Tomahawk, actually had to quit because he had broken like both hands in two places. So finally, just due to pain and not being able to close his hands, he had to quit. Oh no, this is a wild story. So I see him in the casino when we're leaving the venue, walking through. He's talking to some friends. And I stopped to grab his lighter for him and light a cigar because the assholes with him aren't helping him. As he's got two breaking hands kind of wrapped up, and he's trying to light a cigar because it's like, 11 o'clock at night, midnight. Who's going to the ER at that point? He's like, yeah, my hands are broke. We'll take care of it tomorrow. They're really swollen right now. But he's trying to light a cigar, and I'm just like, dude, let me help you.
That's rough.
That's rough, right?
That's very rough.
We got some betting odds coming in, and Perdomo is a minus 400 favor. So, again, reflecting that I've said, people think he is the real deal with some elite level skills.
He's definitely got a good look to him, and he looked very impressive in the highlight package they showed but before the walkout, so we'll see.
So I was going to bring this up at some point tonight and figure why not. I sent you the other day a text message, and it was kind of combat sports hierarchy because it was just something I started thinking of. And I think as we're here watching this show, it's pretty well to say that this is a top-tier promotion. And especially when we're talking about a numbered events. Like even with that top tier I sent you, I think there's times with the UFC, there's times with BKFC on the fight nights, even like the Jake Paul promotion MVP. There are some of the lower cards where you're like, they're not that much different than a tier below them. But when you get these big cards, and even like a Paul versus Perry, you see the difference in the attendance, the difference in the traction, the difference in the pay-per-view buys.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And it's funny, maybe not quite as much with some of the lower BKFC cards, but the bigger cards, the fans definitely turn out, and they're not just there for the sake of being there, or because the venue needed it to look good, so they handed out a bunch of tickets. You can tell they're into it, and that was one of the things when you started pulling me into BKFC. That I really noticed right away is, like there were some Bellator cards at Mohegan Sun where you're like, wow, I think a bunch of those fans just got comp tickets for some reason. That doesn't seem to be the case with BKFC, or if they do, the fans just get into it because of the excitement of it. But yeah, again, not all cards are created the same. But yeah, for these bigger cards, and I think we're going to see that tonight as well. A very lively crowd.
I'm definitely thinking it's going to be a lively crowd. Dave Feldman, BKFC president, had said this was their highest grossing gate. Number of tickets sold for a venue, Seminole Hard Rock, that they've been to many times. When I was there, they said it was a sellout according to the amount of tickets they had on sale, which was all of the first two sections to the theater. For this event, they even said they opened up the third section. So every ticket in the venue was literally on sale this time.
Well, and keep in mind, too, you can squeeze more chairs here and there. It's just like, and I don't point this out to be negative, but every UFC event at T-Mobile Arena is a sellout. If you look at the attendance numbers, they're all a little different. And I'm not saying they're fudging the sellouts, but I'm just saying there's some shows where, all right, we're going to squeeze in another row here. We're going to squeeze in a couple extra chairs here that you find because you just know. But yeah, for them to, on a return trip here, to draw like that, obviously last time people liked it, right? And even more out this time. And I don't think this one's going to last long like that.
Patermo with that precision punching, big uppercuts. Oh!
As a matter of fact, Now,
Brashear is showing an ability to withstand a storm right now.
and a great ability to throw punches at things that aren't there, and he's out.
Left uppercut about a little over 30 seconds gets our first knockdown.
I didn't think he was gonna get up.
It's over. It's over. Looks like they're going to let it continue. That was a
His face is
good 20
already.
seconds on a 10 count.
Looks like he's bleeding from his nose. And yeah, they're going to go for at least a little while longer.
Oh, straight
that was
right.
a hell of a
It's not
punch
going
right
much
there.
longer. There's a second knockdown.
down
That
again.
left caught him again. These combinations, the fluidity of him, the balance in which he attacks with, that's like you can see all the years of that Cuban boxing program.
And he's about to get dropped again. Oh, and he does get dropped again. Wow.
Looks like Perdermo is getting tired of knocking down Brashear.
I give him all the credit in the world for continuing to get up, but maybe at some point you say, you
They
know
should
what?
stop this.
Oh,
His
and
nose
they are.
is under his right eye now.
Yep, then they are stopping it now.
3 knockdowns. The left hook did the damage. Left uppercut. Perdermo makes it look easy. You can see why world title expectations lofted on this young man.
Oh, yeah, I think you nailed it. He made it look easy because there was it was a one-way fight. I don't know that there was that he took a single punch. Now there was some thrown his way that didn't come close, but I mean he just absolutely dominated this fight.
Calling me stupidly impressed. Yeah. Even for as much as I hyped up that his precision and everything, I didn't think a minute and a half of just precision destruction moving forward.
Interestingly enough, my man, with each knockdown, he got up quicker. The first knockdown was the one that kept him down the longest, but you could tell that this fight was not going to go very long.
One innovation that BKFC has that I think we could really institute in the UFC, they have a camera that's in front of Dave Feldman just to see his reactions. It's almost like we need that Rogan DC cam for their group. Yeah, they got it from Dave Feldman right here. And when there was the comeback earlier, he was going nuts. It's a great visual.
So you're saying we need that for Dana White?
If you had that in a little square somewhere on the pay-per-view, people would love it.
I think here's the problem with that. Because I also noticed Dave Feldman was wearing not one but 2 microphones. I don't think Dana has any desire to be mic'd up during a fight when he's conversing with people between fights. He might not want a mic to pick up conversations. I mean, I'm just speculating here.
I think we know where you're right.
To be honest, I wouldn't want a mic picking up conversation. I'm a little nervous about this, to be quite honest. Whenever we do live stuff like this, I'm always afraid I'm going to say something goofy, and I'm not the boss of a promotion.
I re-listen to our podcasts. I'm starting to lose that fear of saying something goofy. I just kind of let it roll out anyway for some reason, even though I don't want to.
Yeah. Look, that's a hell of a fight.
Perdermo, he is destructive. The
uppercut, man. Oof.
Their heavyweight division's really coming along with Perdermo. Zach Collins just is picking up a couple big wins that I was talking to. Josh Watson is returning, and he was the one that we saw knock out Greg Hardy. And then I think he tore his bicep, so he wasn't able to fight for a while.
When you say the one we saw knock out Greg Hardy, that's really not specific enough because these days everybody's knocking out Greg Hardy.
Sorry, the one that knocked out Greg Hardy at Knucklemania here in Albuquerque.
Okay, I got you. Because Greg Hardy's been knocked out like 3 or 4 times since then, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but he only did the bare knuckle thing, I think, the once. Realized, not his thing.
Well, boxing apparently isn't his thing, and neither is MMA.
Fighting's just not his thing.
Which is weird. He's so big and strong.
And athletic.
And incredibly athletic. I don't know that I ever thought he was going to be a world champion in UFC or anything like that, or even in BKFC, but you kind of had higher expectations, didn't you?
Oh, in UFC, I unfortunately, unrealistically, in the thought of him, had some kind of, are we going to have Brock Lesnar expectations? And then I saw Hardy fighting on the regional scene, and I didn't know if he'd be able to live up to it because I expected as a defensive end, this guy was going to be tackling, sacking, using his aggressiveness, and wrapping people up, dragging them to the ground, and to see him fluid with a boxing kind of mentality always made me question what we were going to see out of Greg Hardy. But he was such an athlete that it worked at a lower introductory level, and I think too much too soon from the name value, and there had to be a fault. When you're that big and that good at that many sports, of course you can't have a chin. I mean, you can't have it all.
True.
And also, as we were talking about the hierarchy of combat sports, wanted to bring that up because what does it say that tonight, go to cageminds.com, we do got PFL results. Some of those might be a little bit behind, though, because we're doing this, and this is what matters, and how much has BKFC come along that we're live for BKFC main cards, and this matters.
No, exactly. Yeah, dude. A year ago this time, I would not be over here watching this.
I'd be telling you about it on Monday.
Exactly, and I'd be pretending like I care. But yeah, it's definitely picked up, and as we go through the evening, we can get more into the hierarchy. We're getting ready for a second fight here. We got the intros coming now, but I didn't have any problems with the way you ranked it, but I would have bumped BKFC up a tier.
Oh, because I originally put them on the second tier.
Right.
I redid it, and I did put them on the top tier because I didn't know if I was being overzealous with my own fandom of them if I put them in the top tier. Once you said I was allowed to, I was allowed to.
Well, you don't need my permission to do anything, but you had them at the top of the second tier.
I had to have a voice of reason in the conversation.
True.
And on the boxing ones that I put up there, it's kind of hit or miss because I put Golden Boy, I put Top Rank, but it's like, Top Rank was putting on, if he's not retired or is retired, they had Garcia, you had Canelo. Top Rank has Fury, so they have been a part of some of the biggest boxing matches, but again, they can have what feels like minuscule fight night of importance also.
Yeah.
So this next fight coming up, Edgar Palazzola, Eric Dodson, and dare I actually think this one might go quicker than the heavyweights.
You think?
Palazzola is a Tasmanian devil, and Dodson, for as much as he always tells me he wants to be more technical, more tactical, he likes to get in there and throw, and these are two incredibly fast-twitch athletes. So if it wasn't enough that we just got a first-round knockout, I'm thinking we get it again.
Well, yeah, I don't expect it to go the distance.
This is Palazzola's last fight that I was at, and just wrecking the guy in the clinch, absolute ferocity. Derek Gates was just never able to get out of first gear.
I just hope that in this fight we get a little more balanced offense than we did in the first fight. Because look, a dominating performance, but you'd like to see a little back and forth before somebody gets KO'd, right?
I don't know if you clicked on their records. And the amazing part, Brashear actually 4-1 coming into that fight, and Perdermo was only 3-0. So it's not like on paper this was really that unbalanced. I had Perdermo as a pretty good favorite, but it wasn't like Brashear had never done this before. And this fight in particularly, even though it's only the second fight on the main card, I could feel that the winner's pushing into the top 5, into the BKFC rankings. Palazzola, I believe this would be a third win for him. Dodson gets it. It's a fourth win. And 145 is probably the stiffest division at the top for BKFC.
See, El Toro Loco. Now, that's a nickname. He didn't go to WWE.com and steal a nickname like my man in the featured fight on the prelims did.
Did you see what Eric's nickname is? Thuggy Bear.
That seems to fit.
He's a Dodson brother.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. and obviously I know John much better, but yeah, that seems to fit.
I met Eric like 10 years ago at a weigh-ins for one of his amateur fights, and he was so surprised. At the time, I was working for a different website, and I thought I was a genius saying, dude, we should get John Dawson's little brother in an interview. And even when I walked by John and went to Eric, everyone was surprised. I'm like, I think the last name's gonna speak for itself. Everyone's gonna want to hear about following in the brother's footsteps. And on the other side now, for bare knuckle, I've told you this story. It was Eric that dragged John into this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so the first BKFC tryouts that they had for New Mexico was up in Moriarty at Cowboys Ranch. They didn't apply, but Eric wanted to go. So he talked John into it, and on the way up there, John's like, you really think they're just going to let us in when we show up? And Eric's like, you remember who you are, right? You do remember who you are. So basically walked in, he made a good impression. They saw John and they wanted to sign him, and John was like, well, if you like my brother, I'll do it. So they to do it together. So Eric pulled John into, let's go to the tryouts. Yes, let's sign up. If they're willing to take me and you're going to do this, let's do this.
Any idea how one goes about acquiring a Thuggy Bear shirt?
Oh, we can get you hooked up. We can get you hooked up.
I would be happy to buy one. I would support Eric and pay for it. That looks pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, no, I should be able to find a website for you guys on his social media. And I just got to think of, I don't know if that was, I don't want to say the wrong person of who printed it, but we will look into it. Because if you've seen some of the older John Dotson t-shirts with the Magic Rabbit and the hat, he has printed his own. So it may just be their own design at this point. But yeah, I'll hook you up.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. If John came up with that, or they came up with it together, or if they had outsourced that. Here we go.
That one I'm not sure about, but I can tell you back in the day, the old Ray Borg logo where he was like the Taz Mexican devil with the bandana,
right.
That was his brother's design.
Okay.
Yeah, that was his little brother's own graphic design.
Dude, they're both going to pass out before the end of this round.
Palazola, just like against Gates, right on the offense, not allowing Dodson any space. Dodson would like to be out in space, moving around. You got the single tight clinch from Palazola, unleashing crazy right hands. And at least a couple have touched the chin of Dodson. This is just a straight out brawl, but Dodson's now able to turn the angle and put Palazola on the back foot. Eric's got this wide positioning of his hands. That's where his natural comfort is, and it just always scares the shit out of me that he relies a lot on the instincts and his natural athleticism. As we're seeing those right hands, left hand's a little too wide. He needs to bring it in defensively. He's getting caught and damaged on that left side.
Yeah, they're going to have to slow this pace down a little bit. I get both of them want to be aggressive early, set the tone, but
this might go 10 minutes, and the first minute looks like they only think it's going to go 2. But Palazola definitely taking the foot off the gas here at the 90-second mark compared to where he was shot out of a cannon.
I think some of that's probably by design, and some of it, Eric got a few good shots in. I think, assuming we finish this round, I think it's pretty decisive who won the round. But I think Eric got a few shots in.
Palazola will take the first round, but yeah, the momentum, who has more energy, that kind of seems to be up in the air. Didn't make a big deal of it in the preview, but obviously we know Eric and from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And if you have never heard anybody talk about fighters from Albuquerque, New Mexico, elevation is really high here, and they're in Florida where they're at sea level.
Yeah.
So theoretically, you would give a slight cardiovascular edge to Eric just because of the elevation training.
You would think that.
You would think. It's science. It's what we say, but we'll see how they react. Right now, camera's in the Palazola corner and breathing heavy.
Well, I suspect they're both going to be breathing heavy because for the majority of this round, that they just went at it. Yeah, Palazzolo, I think, definitely landed the bigger shot, more shots, and the bigger shots.
They showed a replay of a Palazzolo right hand right in Dodson's mouth. I think it says Euroshack on his mouth guard. Yeah, shout out to the homies at Euroshack.
It's on his shorts, too.
The shorts I knew about. I was I think it was in the mouth guard, and we got a great shot as he got punched in the mouth. But, hey, double tough. A lot more labored movements, but they're still both so explosive.
Yeah. High up there, the referee splits them up.
So, stepping away from the fight real quick, I was going to laugh at it because we do have another screen with PFL not really fully paying attention to it. Just want to see what's happening. PFL tonight, Bellator tomorrow. This got to hurt for that company. BKFC head-to-head. I feel like BKFC is going to win this matchup. And then tomorrow morning, it's Ireland versus the UFC Saudi Arabia card.
I don't get that planning at all. I mean, and that's no disrespect to PFL or Bellator, PFL, whatever you want to call it, but I believe I would have changed my scheduling. And wasn't PFL Thursday last week? Well, why do Friday this week? Well, why not do another Thursday when you know there's a BKFC event?
And they loaded up with 3 title fights. It would have made sense to PFL. That was one of my selling points to you last year was it was a Thursday night product.
Right.
So it had its own night.
And look, I mean, even if PFL does better numbers, you're still losing out going head to head, in potential viewers because you're making people make a choice. Yeah, to stick to Thursday. I don't know what you would have done to have helped the Bellator card on Saturday, but
pushed it. You would need to push it hours so that it was like a bad time zone, so they played in the U.S. maybe in the evening. But actually, something that I did see because I can show you because from covering the one PFL event that you guys saw, I got the coverage live in Las Vegas. Do have the Bellator weigh-in results, I believe. I've actually already erased it because I was putting it up on the website. But interestingly enough, when they do it, you've seen the format from the PFL, Bellator. Well, you can watch the main card tomorrow, Virgin Media, DAZN, Max, HBO Max. Those are your options for the main card. Prelims, it's not listed, actually. Maybe on the website they have something different. But on the official press release from the Bellator weigh-ins, there's not actually any mention of how you watch the prelim portion of the Bellator card.
I'm going to guess YouTube, but the fact that they don't tell you
is weird.
That's true. Well, there's a lot of. I'm trying to remember when we did the podcast this week. Was it the Bellator card where after the main event on the Bellator website, the next 4 fights, all the fighters listed were shadow fighters. They didn't have the actual pictures. They just had shadows.
It was the Bellator card because I was able to send you the social media post that actually did have everybody's picture, making it even less sensical that the photos weren't online because you figure the same person would be doing the media everywhere for them.
You think that, wouldn't you?
I make a lot of assumptions about these businesses, right?
You know what? Next year, this time, when there is no more Bellator, we're going to be talking about the good old days when we could bag on Bellator.
The only thing that, and I'm sure that you're totally right about it, that makes me sad about it, is I feel like I should have bought a Bellator shirt from the Scott Coker era. I never did. I got one from the Bajorn Rebdi era. Got the original logo. I feel like I should have got another one to commemorate its existence.
I'm not even trying to be funny. I think it would have been the same. I'm not trying to at all. I don't think they ever really upped it. Like on the back of it now, I haven't been there recently since the sale, but you go to the Bellator website, you go to the shop, and it was. I don't think they ever updated. They always had the same hat with the flat brim and the zip up hoodie that had the thumb holes at the end of the sleeves. And that was about it. A T-shirt. They had a couple of different T-shirts, but yeah, basically the same.
I think if you go to the shop now for either PFL or Bellator, it just sends you right to takedown.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. Did Eric take a shot to the
It
nuts?
looked like he got a right hook to the nards right in the clinch. And the way
right in the Euro shack.
Yeah, right in the right there. Yep, thought I saw. Oh, right uppercut.
Two. Was there one before that?
That might have been
Like a cup check and then boom.
He might have lined it up and then bring it through. Eric's like, I'm short, but I'm not that goddamn short. Oh, that's the vicious, and that is like such a concentrated force right at you.
Do we get 5 minutes here? If
Yeah.
he needs it, okay.
I believe it's standard athletic commission rules to give the 5 minutes to a fighter. I don't think there's anything crazy in BKFC where we only have 2 minute rounds, so you only get 2 minutes to recover.
Yeah, because I don't know. He's feeling the effects still. Put it that way.
Yeah. He's moving around trying to. They're talking about it right now. I'm guessing that we just don't have a clock on the screen, but there is some definite keeping track of how much time he is taking there. And do what you need to do. That's probably a diminishment on the power bar that you are not going to regain this fight.
Here we go. Oh.
Was that another?
No.
That was a knockout?
That was a knockout. But I'm wondering if he's still feeling the effects and should have taken a little more time. Now, too late now. But if they're going to give you the 5 minutes and you need it, take them, because this ain't going to make it to the end of the round.
Second knockdown in a row. Palazzolo is back to just battering Dodson in the clinch. Dodson made it to the end of the round. He's got now another 60 seconds to try to regain the air.
I think that was a tactical error on his part, not taking more time. But you could see even walking over to his corner, he was still favoring the groin area, shall we say.
Still bothered by it, still acknowledging it. Fortunately, fight restarted, got to get over it right here. And
yeah.
I don't know if we're giving Eric a round yet. The second round, with them slowing down, was a lot closer, but this first and third
2 knockdowns at the end, I think
it's a dominant round.
Yeah.
That's hard on the scorecards, so you're probably looking at needing a finish. And it's the body work. It's so vicious. Oh, yeah, he did swipe him one more time right there. Oh. And it's this overwhelming avalanche of offense.
What do you think of the 2 minute rounds? Because that was one of the first things that stood out to me when I started getting into BKFC. I'm like, that's not long enough to get anything going. I actually think it's perfect.
It really is.
Yeah.
It is almost like an eternity. I've heard more people talk about the 5 rounds because BYB doing bare knuckle boxing. They will go, I think, up to 7 rounds for title fight. Palazzolo recovers well. Start of this, I believe, was the 4th round.
Yep,
and just corners, overwhelms, rapid fire hooks, and Dodson goes down one more time. Was that 4 knockdowns on the whole night?
I believe it was at least 4. It was definitely 4. That there may have been enough. Yeah.
At least 4 knockdowns. Impressive performance for Edgar Palazzolo.
I mean, obviously this one went longer than the first fight, but we're 2 fights into the main card here, and we've seen 2 dominating performances.
And in both fights, That's kind of bare knuckle is almost like watching a football game that's a blowout, but it's like this because you'll come in thinking there's two evenly matched teams, and then when that shit goes downhill, it goes downhill pretty quick.
Well, and that kind of gets us back to what we were talking about when this fight ended, the length of rounds and the number of rounds. I think 2-minute rounds, you see so much more of a faster pace than if this were 3 or 4 minute rounds or like 5-minute round in UFC, where there's not that there's not a lot of action in most of those, but there's more of a feeling out process. You don't really have a lot of feeling out process in most BKFC fights. And certainly we've seen it tonight in the two main card fights. They just come out throwing.
Right? You have to identify your opponent's flaw or weakness immediately and attack because, as we've seen with the bare knuckles,
He might have taken a headbutt.
definitely some hard punches in there. Was it from the
I'd
coming in
love
a
to
clash
see
of
one
heads?
more replay on that. And they're not going to call that, but there might have been a little bit of a headbutt. Or it might have just been that camera angle. I don't want to steal your thunder, Micah, but I know at some point you were going to want to send out thoughts and prayers to BKFC co-owner Conor McGregor. As he disclosed today, the broken toe, which is what's keeping him out of UFC 303 next week. So don't look at me like that.
I know there was a toe, but my look over to you was just going to ask you when you were done talking, have you looked at the photo? Because I saw it, but it didn't load on the little thing that went off on my phone.
Oh, it's bruised out, and he also posted an X-ray. So assuming it's his foot, it's definitely broken. But I don't blame him. But
you ever broke a toe?
I'm sure I have no doubts it hurts like hell. But didn't Alex Bejedas just fight with 2 broken toes? Or he came in with one and broke another during the fight?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you're actually, that's fully correct. One broke another one during the fight. I don't know if you listened to the Anik Florian podcast ever, but when they were doing the preview for the Jared Cannonier Nasruddin Imavov fight, more than a few times, Anik went back to Ohio State and he's 40, he's a damn man. And somehow when you talk about Alex Pereira, that's like the only thing that comes to my mind. I'm he's a damn man.
Yeah. Well, and look, taking the 303 fight on incredibly short notice when he was not training at all. He was, where was he at? In Australia doing seminars and whatnot, traveling around the bush or whatever, teaching the pygmies how to fight or whatever it was he was doing.
And the funny shit about that is they had him basically going around doing a campaign around Australia because it looked like Adesanya versus Duplessis wasn't going to happen. So Prochaska versus Ferreira was going to be in Australia. So let's get him, a little bit more emphasis and spotlight in Australia. Did you see all the cars he was driving around, all the crazy videos? Yeah, like they were really putting in some action and right to Vegas. I don't know if you kept track of it. We might need to start, but Alex Pereira might be like our most seen fighter live in person here pretty soon. This is going to be at least the 3rd time we've seen him in person.
It's funny because in anticipation of McGregor Chandler, this is going to be my 7th McGregor fight.
I knew he was your favorite.
It's just worked out that way. I don't really have favorites. Look, I ain't gonna lie. There's some guys I like better than others, but there's no one fighter that I necessarily just root for. But let's see if I can go off the top of my head. The 2 DS fights, Cerrone, Khabib, the 3rd Poirier fight, and I covered the Mayweather boxing. So this would have been number 7.
Besides local fighters, I'm not sure if I've seen anybody on a big stage that many
off
times.
The top of my head, and I should do it, and I've thought about doing it a couple of times, just kind of like having a list, right? this fighter X number of times. This fighter, there could very well be someone I've seen more than McGregor,
Might be Amanda Nunes.
possibly.
You have seen her fight quite a few times, I feel like.
Now you
Because I know you were at the Shevchenko fight. I know we were at the
Holly
Penne
fight.
the Holly fight. We were at the Holly fight. Oh yeah, I forgot. I've seen
Hold on.
Amanda quite a few times in person.
Let's figure this out. Since you brought up Nunez, let's see here.
BKFC 62 rolling on. Next up is Chris Garcia versus Mike Livingston at bantamweight.
Did you go with me to Dallas when she fought Pena?
I didn't. You did. Though.
Okay. So that one. Pena, and you were with me at Pena in Vegas, though, right?
Yes.
Where Pena beat her. Megan Anderson, were you there?
No, I don't think
Okay,
we were there.
I was there for that one. That was in March. That was pandemic, probably not. The Holly Holm fight. Cyborg, that was on the John Jones card that got moved to the Forum on a week's notice. So that's 5. Let's see. Rousey at 207. Misha Tate, that was 200. I was there for that. Shevchenko at 196, which for a long time was the worst MMA fight I'd ever seen. It's since been passed a few times, but that was not a particularly good fight. People forget that. So that would be 8 times for Nunez. That's crazy. I didn't realize it was going to be that high.
Wow, that is a bunch of times. Because I was also looking at it. I know that we've seen Duplessis at least. I think I want to say that we saw him like 3 fights in a row actually that he had when I was looking at it.
And
like,
no longer than
there.
Right. And it's not like he's been there as long as Nunez had been or anything like that either. Yeah. And for the longest time, that other dude that was on every single Duplessis card.
Cameron Simon.
Right.
I was like, so we've seen him fight both of his UFC fights for no real good reason, but he was there on each one.
Yeah, that's right. I feel like I've seen Colby Covington, and that's the thing about doing these things. You'll realize you're way off, but I feel like I've seen Colby a lot too.
See, I know I've only had that pleasure the one time. But yeah, I was thinking about Alex because I was like, we saw him, didn't we, in Utah? This will be not our second, but third time seeing him in Vegas because we were there when he knocked out Strickland. So that's why I was like, we've seen Alex quite a few times also for a short run in the UFC.
Hato will be more fun than Colby. Let's do that one. UFC 300, they have the Jamal Hill. Blachowicz in Salt Lake City. Strickland in Vegas. I think that's it.
He has like 9 fights in the UFC, and this will be our 4th time seeing him.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good for the frequency that we're able to get out to events.
Absolutely. That's crazy.
Right? It's a lot more explainable when I'm like, I've been to like every one of John Dawson's BKFC fights. They've all happened in New Mexico. But yeah, Alex Pereira that we've seen in a couple different states. I think I've seen Gaethje. I think we've seen Gaethje fight in at least 3 different states by now too. I think we followed him to Phoenix, to Vegas, and we've seen him fight in Salt Lake City.
I was at Gaethje's first UFC fight, if I remember. That was a fight night. That was when they were still doing fight nights, international fight week. So you like the first international fight week I went to, there was Ultimate Fighter finale on Thursday night, fight night Friday night, the card on Saturday, and then the next year I think they just did a fight night and the pay-per-view card. But the Michael Johnson fight,
That's crazy to think how they've changed that. Like this year we're going and you're going to get the Hall of Fame induction. You have the Fan Expo going on. You have Power Slap and then the UFC.
Yeah.
But before that was 3 days of fights. Took a little bit for this bantamweight fight to get going. Took a while to get them walked out. And for the first time tonight, a little bit of measuring distance and tack for a second. Now they're just in the clinch, wailing, possibly a bunch of punches to the back of the head. But hey, we keep going.
Good job by referee Alex Jones to break that up. I realize that whenever you had Mikey, you're not a political guy, but
No, I'm just on the internet laugh.
but yeah,
I haven't watched any of his documentaries. We're good.
in shape Alex Jones, not 2024 very pudgy Alex Jones. I'm feeling that referee's going to track me down on social media now and threaten me or something.
Kerry Hatley, that's this dude's name, I think. Without audio on, because we're not trying to share it with you guys for free. We're not allowed to. I'm trying to remember what his name was. Yes, Kerry Hatley. So,
my bad, bro.
Hey, everyone has something, you know. You had Jason Herzog had Bellator for a while. Herb Dean had UFC, and Kerry Hatley has BKFC.
For anybody thinking I'm spouting off my liberal bias or anything, I just counted it up. I've seen Colby Covington 5 times, so I hope that gets me back in your good graces.
And he cheers "You Suck" with the crowd, right?
No, that I don't do.
I love the song. Come on, I have to do it.
I love the song. I get it. I get a kick out of Colby Covington. First of all, I like Covington as a fighter. I get a kick out of his shtick. I understand those who don't like it. I completely understand why. It amuses me. I'm not gonna lie.
I hear you. I would be yelling out that "You suck" more for my own amusement, but it fits, so it's still adding to the cheers.
Yeah. Oh no! Look, he chose that for a reason, and it definitely fits for sure. That's a fun first round.
I'm surprised we got out of the first round right there. Garcia doing more than enough damage. Left eye is leaking blood, and part of the brain is trying to escape out of the forehead. Are you just realizing that Greg Hardy's losing photos right next to you?
I didn't get that far over. Right at the end, I was actually looking at the scantily clad female on that thing that looks like you won at the fair that says "I love cage fighters."
I literally got those. You know when you
I didn't even see the Chuck Liddell.
I'm like, you know when people have their little carts for sale, their storages they could no longer pay for. You pay $0.25 to look in there. Yeah, I found 3 really old, great posters.
It looks like something if you knock 3 milk bottles over at the fair, you get a mirror with a Kiss logo on it or something, or a Rolling Stones logo. That's kind of what it looks like.
Suits me.
Yeah, no, I like it. I'm not knocking it.
And if nobody else has seen it yet, I love the Blasphemous GFL poster. It just makes me laugh. Because it's a knockoff of the movie 300 cover when the UFC was doing UFC. And I'm like, yeah, just to try to get under there. I'm like, you know, it's something that a little brother tries to poke at their big brother to do, and the big brother never notices. Because, you know, that did last week. All right, so Garcia, bring the pressure. Livingston still bleeding out of the left eye. Garcia's number 4 ranked, and this is, I'm trying to call it a tune-up fight, but he is a heavy favorite in the scenario. And you can just kind of see the composure.
I'm not 100% sure he won the first round.
You don't think that Garcia did?
I'm not 100% sure. Now, I was also insulting the referee and trying to make good by counting out my Colby fights, but yeah.
I thought the effective damage.
You could be right.
Oh, good short right hand. It's just so brutal doing the bare knuckle boxing. You see how the damage just kind of starts to accumulate out of nowhere. Oh, he's going to froze up on his feet. Is Livingston by right hands, having to go for a needed clinch, not really a. Was there a little blow in there?
No, I think they're going to check that cut on Garcia.
Oh, okay, Livingston.
Oh, I'm sorry, no, Livingston.
Oh, we're calling it off.
Wow.
TKO due to cut in the second round. those right hands, you saw it go from it was a cut to
Yeah.
it kind of grew. Not to mention, so did his face. The structure of it, it's quite poking out on the left side now. I wonder if they're worried that there may also be a break there.
Could be. A lot of blood was pouring out of that cut. Certainly, being able to see what was going to be an issue, yeah, it's stuff.
It's now 4-0 for Chris Garcia here in BKFC. I was seeing some other prospects that they're showing around in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Reber is 6-0, and he's been talking about a title shot possibly. We'll see. And then coming up on the card, we do have 2 more bantamweight fights. So Chris Garcia makes good on what he should have done, and he'll be getting into some bigger things after that. We're live. We don't really talk about pro wrestling when we're live. Jacob Fatu finally debuted.
You had to spoil SmackDown for me, didn't you? You a-hole. Not kidding. Cool.
Yeah, I'm like, yay!
Did they do the 10-bell salute for Chad Gable, who was viciously murdered Monday night?
Do you think that WWE actually had to send out emails to performers of what to tweet, or you think guys just kind of ran with it? Sami Zayn was like, I left right after my match, man. I didn't know what happened. I'd already been gone for 10
That's what
minutes.
they all said, because a lot of people thought Bronson Reed was among those who may or may not have been murdered. And it's like, no, I left right before it happened. I don't know what yeah, because that kind of seemed to, other than Jay, who was like, you know what, they can have the Fireflies back. I'm good. Everybody's response was, I left right before it happened. I didn't even know. Crazy.
I like how the entire roster's like, oh, we clock in, we clock out, bye. I'm only telling you that the stalkers that wait around the stadiums for autographs, we know that's not true. But
I guess the one good thing with so many superstars murdered on Monday night, maybe Drew McIntyre decides to come back because there's less people. No, unfortunately for him, CM Punk's still okay, but
what show is he on again?
well, he was on SmackDown tonight, but he is a Raw wrestler. You know that doesn't matter. They don't adhere to that.
No. So we are an hour in, and we are 3 fights down. We are 2 hours into the full card and halfway through.
I do like the pace that most of the BKFC cards carry there. You don't feel like you don't get your money's worth, but you're not sitting there thinking, I just want this to be over.
It's entertaining. Yeah. They keep it with a solid pacing to where, well, we've talked about this also on the pro wrestling, like with AEW, they'll sometimes have so many good matches, you don't really have time for a lull. Right. And at least here with BKFC, we just had a nice Brian Durant promo, and now they're going to cut to a little backstage interview with Brian Durant. So you're able to break up the monotony without totally slowing down the card. They're good at giving us, I'd say, 5 to 10 minutes of filler versus some of those companies I put on the second tier where they try to strangle us with 20, 25 minutes of filler, and you can just really feel it.
And they don't throw they don't have the prelims, the main card, and then the post limbs.
Something that I am really glad to see that looked like has went away, and it's been a bomb, and they did.
The first Bellator event I covered, I was mortified that there were fights after the main card. I'm like, whoa, wait, whoa, what's going on here?
Were they trying to rush us to the back for the press conference doing those? If they still allow us to sit there for the fights?
Well, the first one I went to was in St. Louis. We just went got drunk. I ain't gonna lie. But yeah, no, they rushed us to the back, and then after the press conferences and all that stuff, they had They had flown a bunch of them. That was the
Was that Kimbo?
Kimbo and Shamrock. So they had flown a bunch of media people. They did like a big radio row type thing. I was really trying to make it a big deal, and they had a VIP thing after the press conference. Somehow, yeah, the VIP was a term used very loosely, but yeah, we did the press conference and they did that. I think they were still doing post-win fights actually. At that point, it was crazy. I'm like, whoa, wait, do we do more fights now?
So I was trying to look around and I did find it. I got all 3 posters from the 3 Bellators that I was able to cover here locally. That first one, I swore I thought you were at that. Christian Mpunbu versus Attila Vega. It was a light heavyweight title fight here. And yeah, I think they had Donald Sanchez and Holly Holm both fight after that title fight. That was how bad they needed people to stay in that arena. And that title fight was 5 rounds of agonizing staring.
That's rough.
Where it was 2 counter strikers, both just.
Well, see, in a way that makes sense if you're doing something for the local crowd. But with that, you had Shamrock Kimbo Slice was your main event. You didn't need any more of a draw than that.
That's like one of the bigger events Bellator has ever done. So yeah, you're right. That name recognition was sky as high as it could get from them anyway.
Yeah, at that point, that was the biggest. I'm trying to remember who else. I know Bobby Lashley was on that card.
What do you think about Bobby Lashley said he had conversations at one point during his free agency with BKFC? I just found that to be like kind of mind-blowing. I did not see that being up his alley.
I thought you were going to say with UFC now that they're all under the same umbrella, and I would have called BS on that. The BKFC thing, I could actually see. No, I'm not saying he didn't make the right decision, but I could actually see something like that. But if you're going to try to tell me, he said I was thinking of making another go in MMA. And I don't mean this disrespectfully. I just don't. At this point in his life, I don't see that at all.
Either way, I wouldn't see him fighting. He never looked comfortable to me on his feet. He was diving for takedowns in a way that it made me surprised to think about him doing bare knuckle. That was my whole take from it. It's just not trying to knock you as an athlete. It just didn't seem like he was a striker. Like how we said Greg Hardy was comfortable on his feet, possibly to a foolish demeanor. Mm-hmm. I never got that from Lashley, that he would have wanted a striking-centric kind of bout.
I can look at the rest of that card. It was a really good card. I just, off the top of my head, don't remember what the full card was. You wouldn't think it would be all that hard to
find. BKFC 62 is continuing. We have G. Pettis, the cut man, coming out next. He's taking on Albert England. This is going to be a bantamweight bout.
I remember, okay. I knew there was a pitbull. I just couldn't remember. You had...
of course there was.
Lashley beat Dan Charles. But yeah, Daniel Strauss and Henry Corrales. Remember Henry Corrales?
He still pops up every so often, but yeah, up and down career on him.
Chandler and Derek Campos.
Oh, Chandler Campos. That Derek Campos, and you'll recognize this. I don't know if the internet will. I believe he's now the peak lightweight champion.
I think you're right. Yeah.
So I'm fighting there in Texas on the regionals.
Yeah. Was that Patricio? Was that? No. Yeah. It was. But Patricio beat Daniel Weichel.
So I don't know if you noticed it. I'm pretty sure we didn't get fully in depth last week on the PFL 4 results when they had the heavyweight division. I think I failed to tell you because it was just short notice, came up really quick. Timothy Johnson, for winning at XFC, actually got back into the PFL.
Really?
Yeah. He fought last week, and I don't know if you've seen it, and we probably should have had like a "Have you seen this shit?" If you look up on Twitter, there was a moment with Danilo Marquez last week and Tim Johnson Johnson went left straight, and Marquez went deep to the balls, and they both landed. And I mean, Marquez got flipped. Yeah.
Yep.
Good for Tim Johnson. I mean,
Sure.
everyone that got fired from Bellator when they signed with the PFL, like, felt bad for it. So he made a charge back, and good for him. I think he actually won that by first round knockout and is getting into the playoffs for $1 million after having been let go of. I have never seen such a phoenix on someone's chest before. Albert Inklin has spent some time in the tattoo chair, and he's on fire.
Yeah, I would say it's literally a phoenix rising from the ashes. There are no ashes, but it's a very fiery phoenix.
It is some very well-done phoenix. And now Gene Pettis, this is going to be actually his return fight back to 130 pounds. Last fight was 150, 155. He took on Bryce Hall, so he took on the influencer.
Right.
So they, of course, gave a much smaller man, so he wouldn't hurt the influencer. And unfortunately, in that fight, I think he tore his triceps and ended up having to give up because of the pain, and he just couldn't extend his left arm at all. So he was worried he was going to get knocked out, not being able to. Yeah. So this is a return for G. Said a lot of physical therapy and a long time to get the arm feeling better. So we'll have to keep attention to how that left arm is.
Keep in mind when that happens in a fight like that, not only are you not able to punch, you can't really get that arm up to defend either. So I mean, you're just a one-sided fighter.
Yeah, the vulnerability was was probably the biggest reason why he quit. If you couldn't defend and just kind of flailing away with one arm trying to throw straight shots, it wasn't great.
I gotta think it's hard to move in those shorts.
Which one? Because I'm not even talking about from an aesthetic point of view. It looks like there's a lot of tightness in the crotch area for both guys trying to, extend their legs and move.
Well, one of them is because in the case of Perez, he's wearing tight short shorts. My other dude they're the baggiest. I mean, I guess there's been a boxing match or two where I've seen shorts that baggy. He just, the way he's trying to move around, it just seems like as low as they're hanging, that you're getting to that point and you can't move your legs anymore because the crotch is down by his knees. And I don't think it needs to be that low.
His waist is probably a size 30, and those shorts are probably for like a 40, 42.
Someone between 5'2" and 5'4" could wear those shorts as pants. Easily.
And if you're wondering why we're talking about their shorts, this has been really tactful, a lot of gauging the distance, and all of a sudden Inklin shot ahead an arm takedown.
I will say the Phoenix logo looks really good on those shorts with the long crotch, but and maybe that's the only reason he's wearing it. I don't know. Gotta keep the sponsors happy.
Gotta get the aesthetic out there.
Gotta make sure everybody can see the logos.
And I'm not even trying to argue with you. Not even trying to go down this road of argument. Are either one of them two NASCAR for you? Just wondering if it looks like I've always just wondered, like, what is an overload versus a minimal? And I could say, like, Gene Pettis, maybe you're getting a little bit on some of these guys. I don't think they're making a ton of money off of these sponsors. They need every single one. I'm just from the aesthetic perspective.
From the aesthetics perspective, the big baggy shorts bother me way more than the sponsors. And look, that's not a big. That's just me. I'm not trying to be overly critical on it, but that actually bugs me more than the sponsors.
You say baggy shorts, and you know who the first person that comes into mind is someone we're seeing go in the Hall of Fame next week. Frankie Edgar.
You're right.
Dude, he had some of the baggiest. Like, I swear, his shorts would, like, you could not see the injury on. If he got calf kicked, you weren't sure. At the old Venom days, like the old UFC days, I swear he had some of, like, the biggest shorts in the game.
Fair point. Oh, yeah, and look, he's not the first guy to ever wear baggy shorts. And other than just being long, they're not even maybe all that baggy. I'm making it more of a big deal than it is. I'll put it to you like this: I've just now noticed the yellow fuzzy things down each side.
Oh, I thought that
so-
just made it.
No, so it took me that long to even notice that.
Oh, here we go. Some jab work, some outside effectiveness from Gene Pettis.
Let's talk about something important, not baggy shorts.
Like how they're hitting each other.
Yeah.
Well, they were kind of slow on the hitting each other. They're both a lot of good defensive reactions right here. I'm sure with the records, Gene Pettis came in with a more positive record. I believe England only 1-3 so far in BKFC. So Pettis was your
England
betting favorite.
1-2, Perez not 3-1.
And Pettis, you could also see, if you've watched him before, even though he's cutting the weight, I think he looks the same size as he did for Bryce Hall. He's done a really good job with strength and conditioning of getting to like a functional size for weighing in out. I think it was 130, 128 he weighed in for this fight.
Speaking of weigh-ins, real bit off topic, because I haven't had a chance to look. Did Gaston make weight today?
I think that fight had to be booked to middleweight.
But did he make the middleweight weight? Because I think there was a concern that that might be an issue as well.
Well, now you got me going to Twitter.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know if you knew off the top of your head.
I actually had not checked it on the UFC weigh-ins because once I saw that, I was like, well, the person that was most likely to miss weight kind of already did it. Did you see that there's a new line of UFC toys?
No, but I like toys.
Yeah, Stansei launches globally and teams up with UFC to create limited edition designer art toys. And I know one of them is going to be a limited edition Conor McGregor release.
Well, duh.
I like the
why wouldn't you do that?
because the Hasabula one is more important.
It might be close to being as popular. I don't know that I'd go so far as to say
Okay, important probably not a good word.
important seems a little strong.
Gastelum 184.5. Oh, did you see the interesting story that came out? Remember how I had mentioned Shara Magomedov tomorrow was going to be taking on Luderbaugh, the karate combat champion. Did you see what happened to him?
No.
I don't know if he's been suspended or released, but before his drug test, he was like, "Oh yeah, I took steroids." So he admitted to being dirty before getting tested or something. So I just know that now Antonio Tricoli, who was supposed to fight Ikram Alaskarov last week, somehow he had made the trip out with the UFC to Abu Dhabi just in case they needed a body. So yeah, now he's on the card taking on Sharabula Magomedov, who I don't know if you saw, but he has actually been casted in Hollywood, of course, to play a villain or a hitman in a movie.
That's not fun. Hey, by the way, those toys you were just talking about, for anybody going out next week for UFC 303 and International Fight Week at the Fan Fest Friday and Saturday, they will have those toys.
And I believe there's some kind of special opportunity on a Friday with a display or an interview. You have to check your emails.
To interview a toy?
To interview the toy creator or something. I'll let you see the email. I got one earlier.
So, nerd, how did you come up with this?
What are the new ways that you make this? What is the different
I would not know
material?
how to. Now, because I know, a month or so ago, UFC also announced a line of McFarlane toys.
So how will these be different?
Right. Now, I'd interview McFarlane in a heartbeat because I know more about the things he's done, from comic book toys, this, that, and yeah. But just some random dude from the, I don't know.
Well, okay, so UFC International Fight Week, Radio Row. There's going to be some unique opportunities presented. The Stansei toy designer will be available and around the expo. And I don't know if I'm allowed to announce this other part or not.
Well, you maybe shouldn't.
Well, it's not even like, it doesn't say not to announce it. It's just we don't know who they're going to be yet.
The Saturday part?
Yeah, the Saturday part. They say that the guys drafted at the Sphere for the Anaheim Mighty Ducks will for some reason be available Saturday at the UFC.
As good as anybody else, but out of all the NHL teams, why are you partnering up with the Mighty Ducks?
Why is it not the Golden Knights? Because it's
Right?
Vegas. Like that's the only part.
They might not have draft pick, first round draft pick. That could be. I'd have to look that up. But the Golden Knights, because
I know they've done a couple of things on the back end.
they might not have had a first round draft pick that they could bring out there. So,
and there is the deal with the Honda Center. So maybe in Anaheim.
you don't impress me. Bring Emilio Estevez out for interviews.
Emilio.
Hey, Tito Ortiz, bro.
Hey, Tito Ortiz.
His head is twice the size of Barry Bonds. And I'm not inferring anything by that. That was just the first other big-headed named person that came to mind. But I don't know if you saw Bonds on the baseball broadcast last night. I think his head has shrunk back down. By the way, but Tito's is not.
Do you think that's just like maybe natural?
Would it be inappropriate if I said if you were stranded in the desert with Tito Ortiz, the first thing you do is tapping his head? because if that's inappropriate, I won't say it.
Totally appropriate.
Oh,
I think you said it.
Never mind.
All right, I am really surprised with the tactical nature that this fight has provided us. A lot of distance fighting. You normally don't get that furthest out distance in bare knuckle. A lot more clinch, a lot more damage. Just a little mark under Perez's eye. And Inclin got a couple little cuts, some blood coming from the nose, but you haven't seen that knockdown, that moment. This is probably the first time you've seen one of these fights.
I'm impressed we're about 45 seconds away from going to the fifth round.
And finally, here in the fourth round, this is where Perez looks to be turning up the offensive aggression. Right before there was a drop mouthpiece, you could see the wincing from Inclin, or I don't know if there's an injury to his right eye. So maybe we will, continue this roll of stoppages. But oh no, okay, you've got the eye back open, moving around well. And we were both acknowledging this during the prelims. Sean Wheelock was a heck of a find by BKFC to pick him up off of the scrap heap. I was watching him do BFC and a couple other shows on Fight Pass. So I think he was a great find to be their lead guy. Like we're talking about it sometimes on some of the pro wrestling shows. You can feel like quite possibly the announcers are mailing it in and they don't have that enthusiasm. Sean Wheelock feels like he needs decaf.
Well, but not in a bad way. It's like, and this isn't a fair comparison, but there's some UFC events. Once you hear who's announcing and who's doing this and that, your opinion of that card changes, whether it's fair or not. And I think now, look, UFC runs a ton of events that they need multiple sets of announce teams and things. I completely understand that. But if you're a BKFC, a Bellator back in the day, a PFL, you need to put your best foot forward every time out. And good announcing won't totally make that happen, but bad announcing will sure as heck keep it from happening. So it is important to, whether it's play-by-play, whether it's color commentators, whether it's analyst desks, it is important to have people who can not only get the message out you want to get out, but do it in a way that's informative and entertaining. And it's easy to be informative. It's easy to be entertaining. It's a lot harder to be informative and entertaining.
You've also seen the commentary team grow, especially for BKFC. The combination of Lytle and Wheelock together,
Uh-huh.
where keep picking on Bellator, I feel like, but Bellator, it always felt like a square peg in a round hole or something, where you just couldn't feel there was even though you have the podcast with Big John and Josh Thompson, it feels like their chemistry there is better than what you got on broadcast. And with BKFC, Wheelock and Lytle, they have that relationship. The finishes continue, multiple cuts all over the place. G. Perez, as expected, back in the win column, came in, pulled back, overhand right, left, uppercut for the finish. So we're watching the press conference for BKFC 62, and it feels like BKFC, there's a lot of lessons learned from the UFC. BKFC right now, with some new partnerships, they're coming out with BKFC branded products. So there was a Savage Sip Coffee. You have like a Knockout blend, a Knuckle Up blend, a Championship blend, Bucked Up Energy drink. They're coming out, I believe, next week. They said it will be the debut of a BKFC punch, so fruit punch kind of special flavor. So they're doing a thing with notoriety.
And the bucked up they've got in the corners, they got the logos, but the coffee deal that intrigues me because I'm pretty sure I saw a Black Rifle Coffee logo in the corner of the screen a while ago.
Maybe there's Black Rifle, and maybe I'm getting it wrong. And Savage Sip is the other one with the UFC. It's 1 and 1.
Okay, I got you. Okay. But still, when you can find those outside and those outside revenue sources, that's always a good thing.
And that they're willing to, co-promote, co-brand. I mean, and that's why I was thinking the UFC, because I remember back in the day with the Zufra energy drinks and going to the convenience store, and you would actually, see the big UFC cutouts.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of seeing the UFC stuff and people not being timely or have gotten the memo, I won't say where, but I went to a chicken wings place 2 nights ago, and they had a ton of UFC 303 posters, all with Chandler McGregor.
Did you ask if he could take one?
No, I did not. I'm like, oh, wow. I wonder if they've gotten the memo yet.
Oh, that's a hard one, right? You need to take those down. What was the fight? What was the pay-per-view after the pandemic that didn't happen? Was it Gaethje Poirier? Or no, Gaethje Nurmagomedov? I just know one of the UFC pay-per-views that got canceled during the pandemic when I was doing DoorDash. I'd walk into Buffalo Wild Wings, and I never got the nerve to be like, can I have that poster for the wall? No one else sees this besides me in here 20 times a day.
By the way, since this has kind of become a recurring thing, when they showed Tito Ortiz in the crowd a while ago, that got me curious how many times I'd seen Chris Cyborg. Now, for those who don't know, how did you make that connection? He trained Chris Cyborg. He cornered her. And most of her, right. She had 7 UFC fights. I was at 3 of them.
And did you go to any of her Bellator fights?
No. Which I was actually checking because I could have sworn I did, but I did not. But the Holly Holm fight, Yana Kutsukaya, and which were both wins for Cyborg, and then the Nunez loss.
BKFC has announced August 3rd. BKFC 63 Sturgis.
Is that during the?
Yeah,
they're
gonna do it
during the holy shnikey.
BKFC is gonna go WCW Road Wild and throw an event. I think outdoors in front of all the bikers.
That's cool, but if that's what they're doing, much like WCW, it's a vanity thing, and they're not making any money at the gate because You just walk up to it. Now, that's not to say it's not worthwhile. That's not to say there aren't other ways to make money. But selling tickets, unless they do that, because WCW was never able to sell tickets for those. And that was one of the knocks on it. It's a vanity project for Eric Bischoff because he likes to ride motorcycles and this and that. And there might have been some truth to that as well. But I think it was still worthwhile. It's a cool visual if you're watching it on TV. I'm sure it's cool if you're there in person. But they're actually doing that during the bike rally?
I believe they're doing it during the bike rally. I believe that's what the announcement is, that they are teaming with the bike rally. So this is going to be insane. And just personally, to see 30,000 people, if they're able to pull that, or
what's the date on the BKFC?
August 3rd.
That's the first weekend of
it. The first weekend to kick it off. Oh. So the main event, I believe, is going to have Taylor Starling, who we know, fighting for the women's strawweight title against Britton Hart, and then also Bill Albrecht, who won here at the Prospect Series. He just been announced, and Derek Pettis from Berlin. So we have several local ties already on that card.
You are not getting my ass on a motorcycle and riding the Sturgis wagon.
No, we're not going to.
That ain't happening, my man.
No, guys, I love the thought of all this. We'll be right here live for you on that one. Hey, plus also BKFC Fight Night Kansas City announced you got a top 5 welterweight matchup. Friend of the show, James Lindsay, taking on Alvin Brito. Unfortunately, and see how we were talking about coffee? Yeah, Savage Sip is on the banner right there.
When they were showing the Sturgis thing, Black Rifle Coffee was in the corner on the screen.
And now BKFC just announced BKFC Spain, Marbella, Spain, October 12th. I don't know how big of an event that's going to be. That's not Madrid, but it is another country that they're breaking ground in.
Good for them.
Collecting talent all over the world, and again at the press conference.
I see the coffee thing you were talking about, but look, there's also the grunt style right behind my man's head. The
grunt style is the official apparel.
Okay,
yeah,
okay, I got you. Okay. Oh, you know what? You're right. That was not Black Rifle Coffee.
Oh, okay. So you just saw
it was the grunt style. Yeah. You're right. Yep, my bad.
Yeah, I actually got a BKFC grunt style shirt.
I'm just gonna look up whatever fighters I've seen the most times. Some more. Sorry.
Oh, don't worry. Like Irvirium or something is another partner of them, and I keep telling myself I'm gonna Google what that is because I'm just not sure. I think it has something to do with health and wellness and recovery.
To atone, I will do that for you. How is that spelled?
EVIRUM. Yeah.
The first thing that pops up is a waste management service in Montreal, Quebec, Canada.
Maybe the friends. Yeah, no, that's literally it. That's the logo.
That is it?
That is it.
Hold on. That's something else. This one.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, well.
They had said they were their friends in Canada, so who knows? I was way off when I said possibilities of health and wellness. All right.
Well, cleanliness is next to godliness, and if you want to be healthy, you got to be clean and have a clean environment. So, I'm trying to help you out with that, dude. Sorry.
I was just going to transition to next up. We're going to the women's flyweight division, where former title challenger from the UK, Melanie Shaw, is going to be taking on the South Florida native, unbeaten 2-0 in the promotion, Christine Vicens. I got to interview Vicens before BKFC 57, which unfortunately she did not fight at because literally the day of the fight, when they did the pre-fight medical check-ins, her opponent failed and became medically disqualified.
Industry pioneers. Ivrium manages waste and recycling portfolios nationwide. We offer a wide range of environmental services specialists. They're not our sponsors, right? So I don't have to keep reading this. Okay.
No,
but point being, it's waste management.
Oh, okay. Waste management. All right. See, I've been wondering that for days. They had said our Canadian friends. Guessing that's why you just left it as Canadian friends.
Canada's a very clean country, so they're obviously very good at what they do.
Keeping it clean, keeping the streets safe.
Some people keep it real. Some people keep it clean. Some people keep it real and clean.
Oh, I'm totally distracted right now watching a spoiler from SmackDown.
Do not ruin SmackDown for me. Actually, you can run it out.
Solo Sikoa is cornered by Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, and Kevin Owens down in the corner sitting. He psychotically starts laughing. And then a fest of super kicks, and it's Jacob Fatu. And Paul Heyman is terrified. And my homie Jacob Fatu has lost 50 pounds and turned 20 of it into freaking muscle. He looks ripped from when I saw him 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah. He's put the work in.
We're not going to get into the full pro wrestling thing, but it really does not leave the intrigue to me. Does Hikuleo, or whatever they rename him, the 6'8" other, is he part of the new faction? Do we get a new super faction? Because they're just adding all the new cousins, so that would be 5 of them in one group.
Give me a second. I'll tell you what his name's going to be.
All right. Again, BKFC 62 is what we're live for. The results are live on CageMarks.com if you're trying to keep up with everything that's happened tonight. And we have only seen one decision so far. Women's flyweight action coming up next. Christine Vicens versus Melanie Shaw. Shaw's already fought for a title. So a win, and this is a huge opportunity for Miss Vicens, who, if you can't see it, is donning a very Wonder Woman-like themed costume.
WWE this week applied for the trademark for the name Cesar Sikoa.
Cesar Sikoa?
I would assume it's not Caesar, that it's Cesar. But I guess it could be, yeah. And since Jacob Fatu came in as Jacob Fatu, I assume, they didn't change his name?
I don't even know if they said his name.
Okay, well, that could be too. It sure sounds like there's going to be someone by that name. They might be running out of brothers and cousins to bring in. So
I thought I had seen a trademark earlier this week that it was how they're the Tongas. I think there was Loa Tonga or something like that, I thought. Or Loa or Leia Tonga. So maybe you're seeing Jacob Fatu. Either way, more bloodline and great storytelling coming from WWE. Keep up with us when we talk about that on Pro Wrestling After Hours on the After Hours Podcast Network.
Yeah.
Gotta get the plugs in.
Moment of silence for Chad Gable.
Dude, I keep wanting to make really bad jokes about celebrating for his oppressed trio. Can nobody feel good for Otis and for
They had already quit on him earlier in the show.
Their accuser.
By the way, if they give him another chance, we might be mourning their loss as well. Just saying.
So, last question to ask you about WWE. Did they tell us if that was Braun Strowman?
They have not.
So we just don't know. Okay. Fast start. Shaw grabbing Vicens, forcing the clinch right away. Punches to the back of the head. So Melanie Shaw, I've heard on podcasts. Have you ever seen the English videos where they have the street fights where literally the ref and the camera people have the masks on that's so illegal? That's where she started. You know you want to fight when you're that gritty, when the cameraman and everybody has masks on. So PFL not great, but if a Kasanga and I think we get a standing knockout.
I see what you're trying to do here. Trying to make me care about.
No, I just wanted you to see a slumped over body against the cage. We're good. There wasn't even any care. There was just hey, great for Ipa Kasanga and I. A guy that I'm happy for every time he wins.
Sure.
Because every time he wins, I still see that Joaquin Buckley head kick. which I'm making a promise. We're going to get into the habit of no longer ever again saying spinning back elbow.
Okay.
Because you're spinning elbows. Because there is no back of the elbow.
Front. There's no front.
I saw somebody saying that, and I'm like, oh, how the many of years I wrote spinning back elbow, and it felt like it did. Like, this is the front of the elbow?
All right. Hold on. Nope. I'm going to save this. See, back elbow, front elbow. If you're going Dusty Road style, it's a front elbow.
There you are,
That's
trying
a
to bring
back
the 12
elbow.
to 6 in.
All right. You go sideways, Dusty.
All right.
You go 10 and 2 like you're driving.
That is one I've yet to see. I've seen guys like this. I've seen all kinds of two-handed punches, but that'd be interesting. Thought I was at 10 and 2. First round in the books. A ferocious pace. Shaw just trying to make it dirty against Vicens. Just make it a gritty fight.
Good thing she's not fighting Diego Sanchez. He'd be very pissed at all the Vaseline. I'm sure they're going to wipe it away, but I don't know if you saw that. There was a big blob of it just sitting right there. Oh, my God. Oh, by the way, speaking of Diego Sanchez, the documentary that debuted in theaters a couple months ago from filmmaker Charlie Mann, that hit Prime Video today. So for those of you interested in Diego, it's really done documentary too, but interested in Diego Sanchez, a lot of interviews with people from his career. This fight's over, by the way, like that.
It looks like there's a mouth injury to Melanie Shaw, and Christine Vicens will go to 3-0 with the TKO due to medical stoppage. I was just going to read a review from another journalist that we know.
A review on what, the Diego documentary?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, you did well, man. You both did well, man. Why did they talk about the Trout fight for an unnecessary 15 minutes?
Oh, I can answer that for you. Charlie was friends with Austin. Austin was semi-local and easy to get. And that might be the last significant thing Diego does as far as inside a ring or cage. Now, yeah, if you're stacking the accomplishments in his career, highs and lows, whatever, I don't know where that really fits, but that might be the last big moment he gets or got inside of a cage or a ring.
The last two sellouts I've seen in Tingley, which are probably the only two sellouts I've ever seen in Tingley, Diego Sanchez was a part of both of them. One of them, he might have got like a really nice gift that, was a detriment to Ross Pearson, but, he has been part of the last two sellouts I ever seen in our local historic Coliseum. I did the air quotes.
I'm trying to think what the first one was. I know the second one was the BKFC event.
Oh, the Ross Pearson fight. That was the when Rustam Habilov, Benson Henderson. I think that was the only other sellout I've seen at Tingley was that fight night.
Interesting.
Well, I've been to some concerts there, but I can tell, you know what I mean, with extra floor space.
Yeah.
Like Horn's done a lot there.
Sure. Hey, is she El Toro Loco too?
I think El Toro Loco might just be the actual merchandising company that is sponsoring that.
Probably.
And it wouldn't be a bad nickname for Palazzola.
No, I think it would be a great nickname. There's an El Toro Loco monster truck.
Did I tell you about the Hummer last weekend? He's nicknamed the Dream Killer.
Oh, what? I'm sorry?
Edgar Palazzola is nicknamed the Dream Killer, the fighter we saw before with the beard. But
I finally found the line. I do not cross the line there. And we'll just move on. Most everything's fair game. Don't joke about that. Somebody might take it seriously. I got you. We're good.
So I'm at Comic-Con last weekend, and I'm walking up to it's at a hotel, and under the underhang is a Hummer that has the biggest vignettes I've ever seen of stormtroopers. And you open it up to see the full door full of speakers to just hear Star Wars theme music blaring out of it.
I could get with that.
I was just like, and someone comes up to me, they're like, "It's a living stormtrooper." I'm like, "That's just wild." So, like we said, nicknames that got to be original. So right now we're seeing a promo. It's from Kai Stewart is backstage, probably trash talking because he is the road fighter, even though he's the champion. Said he wanted to go on the road and make all the fans sad, beating their hometown fighters. His nickname is Hefty Bag.
Terrible.
He takes out the trash.
Here's why. We were ripping on my dude in the featured prelim for stealing Rated R Superstar from wrestling. You got to know where I'm going, right? With that mustache that makes him look like he ties people's girlfriends to train tracks in the 1920s. They should steal the Toni Storm and AEW gimmick where every time she's on screen it's in black and white. There should also be no talking when he's on screen. You just put up like captions and there's music, like piano music playing in the background.
Timeless Kai Stewart.
100%. I mean, if you're going to have a mustache like that, you need to go all in.
There is a certain kind of look with the handlebars. It's flipped up. It's a certain kind. Whereas on the other side, he's taking on Brian Duran, who we saw Brian Duran House all the face tattoos. You haven't seen it yet because you haven't seen him without his shirt. He is El Gallo, the rooster. The biggest rooster tattoo.
We saw him one of the other live things we did. Unless BKFC has multiple people with rooster tattoos on their chest.
Dude, no, remember that guy had the tattoo of his, it wasn't a rooster. Remember, it was the three.
He had a rooster because there were
wasn't there a rooster and like two faces?
There might have been, but I just remember there were some jokes that may or may not be appropriate for this broadcast, so I won't repeat them, but it's a rooster. It ain't that hard to figure out. But yeah, because the guy I'm thinking about, I think he also had a tattoo of himself on his chest. Or it looked like him anyway. It was probably somebody else.
It was like David, who fought at the Knucklemania 4 card, but
was it Knucklemania 4?
It was Knucklemania 4 when we had for the LA card when we were talking about it. Crazy enough, also with the BKFC, and it's up there on their app. I mentioned that Derek Perez from Berlin will be fighting August 3rd on the Sturgis card. He's also booked for the July 12th card. I'm not sure how two commissions can book you for a bare knuckle card, a month apart, but we'll see which one of those he actually makes it to the ring for.
I would bet you that he will not be going to the first one.
That's the first one.
Although he's listed right there, so.
Also, shout out Kyle McElroy, who trains here in Albuquerque. He's on the card. He's going to be taking on Bellator veteran Fernando Gonzalez. Did you ever get to see Fernando live?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I think you went more east for your Bellator fights, and he really only fought in Pechanga, where they're going to be. It's his local card. So here coming up, you're going to have a bantamweight fight. Justin Ibarola versus Rick Caruso. Ibarola is a massive minus 345 favorite. I don't think his opponent got the joke when literally at the ceremonial weigh-ins, Ibarola bring out some cake with a sign that said this is going to be a piece of cake. They both enjoyed a piece of cake and shared on the scale. I don't think he got the joke.
He just thought his opponent was being nice and bringing us some cake.
Exactly.
Hey, we just had this tough weight cut. Let's celebrate with some cake. Yeah.
So Justin made an impact because I want to say that on his Prospect Series card, he walked out to the ring with an envelope in his hand and handed it to the BKFC president. And inside it said, once I knock this guy out in the first round, I want a contract. And then he knocked the guy out in the first round, so he opened it and saw it. So that is how Mr. Ibarola 2-0, jumping up pretty high on the main card. You got the moxie to call out your shot. You kind of get to see if you can live up to the potential.
I like it.
Right? Ballsy. So people have noticed this, and I'm sure you've seen it. Trillers on the Backtron, Trillers on the ropes.
Right.
It's interesting that Triller is like a part of BKFC, but it just feels like it's a physical label rather than why BKFC. If we're watching it on the BKFC app, you can watch it on Fubo TV, but it's not on Triller. It's not on Fight. So it feels like it's one of the more interesting relationships I see in combat sports, where it's broadcasted, it's there, but what is the Triller part of what we're watching?
Is it on Triller outside the U.S.?
Maybe it is. I know that you can. I thought globally it was the BKFC app, and I'm not sure what the reach of Fubo is. But I know those are the two main options that they at least talked about domestically. So maybe you do still have that international aspect. See, so pretty. Lined up the right hand, shot it down the pipe. Ibarola, it's those natural fighting instincts, and even caught his opponent with the second right hand, falling to the ground. We're watching highlights. About to get on to this fight. And just to keep everyone up to date in full, once we get through with this fight, we're on to the title fights.
Yep.
It's all gold from here.
Apparently they're filming some scenes from the next Magic Mike movie.
He's a magic man. He's a showman.
I'm assuming he's going for the Apollo Creed Rocky IV exhibition match against Ivan Drago. But it looked more like an extra in Magic Mike.
Looked like the Steve Urkel version of a stripper.
Yes. I was about to do a really bad Steve Urkel impression. I felt better about it.
I did not do that.
You're trying to get me to do it. I'm not going to do it.
I'm
not going to do it.
Oh, great.
My man's got a blue mullet. That's strong. I don't know if it was a mullet per se, but the sides are shaded. The sides are shaded.
Oh. Great part to big up hair. Shout out to Dapper Barber Parlor,
Yeah.
Barber Dom. They will be back live. The Beatdown with Friends will be back. Salmora with a busy weekend with the family, so that's why we're live from the studio for this event. Those guys will be live, but we're at UFC 303 coming up next week. So we can see what cast of characters they take over to the barbershop, and we're going to work on me being able to join over Zoom or audio or some kind of audio from being in the hockey media section for the UFC event.
Good luck.
I don't think I'll be able to hear anything and have no signal.
The signal might be a problem.
That's what I'm guessing. Everyone fighting is everyone's trying to take photos, videos, and send everything up to social media. Yeah. Because we tried to have me tap in on an audio version last time I was there for BKFC 57, but could not hear a thing.
Did you have earpieces or?
Yeah. I had my earpods in, and I could only hear every other word from back at the studio as I was trying to relay what I was seeing.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Hey, men's mental health awareness. Good message from Ibarola.
So, what makes you dye your hair blue?
Maybe it's autism awareness.
Yeah, it could be. Look, in all seriousness, kudos to him for having that on his banner and all, because that is important. As guys, we all sometimes think macho. I don't need therapy. No, therapy's good. Everybody should be up there.
Probably not wrong.
Just get there. Clear your chest, say what you want, and there's, nobody judges you. It's a wonderful
Really
Talk
judging
shit about you, Bobby. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It's like, my 315, wow, the 245, I thought no. Ibarola really setting it up. It looks like he's looking for that one big punch, though. With the right hand, trying to get the jab hand to fake what's in. And
Let me ask you this, Mike. Would you lay there and let someone tattoo down your spine? Like you see Ibarola's tattoo. The little circles
that looks horrendously painful down the spine. At the top of the back looks easier to handle. The spine one and the bone on bone.
And not just bone on bone, that's your damn spine.
I don't have a messed up spine, so of course.
Well, yeah, even worse for you, but yeah. Because when it jars you there and you feel it, that's got to shoot out all over your body, right? Because there's so many pressure points there.
Some kind of flailing and a low blow, and Caruso's down, and it looked like he took the front of that.
He says he's ready to go, but
he's still touching it. He's still moving around. Take a couple minutes, breathe, walk. I like how he's still wincing in pain, but says, dude, you're still wincing. Stop it. I understand when they want to push the pace, but this is a 10-minute fight. I'd rather have the recovery for the fighter and get rid of that feeling. Look, get out of it.
Exactly. And obviously it's the referee's fault because it's the same referee from the last one we saw.
He's just attracted to them right now.
I guess. Hey, Bill, it's not his fault, but it is the same referee.
Well, and we can see how the low blow happened. Ibarola really is trying to level change, get him on the inside to the much taller. Is that a very intricate bird on his arm? Do you think we have another phoenix?
I think it's definitely a bird.
Maybe it's a falcon.
I think it has the head of a crow. Could be a falcon. I think it looks like a crow to me. But then, like, you get down to the neck and it's red or orange. That's why he's standing the damn way. The nerve of his corner trying to cool him down and help him and get him to fight.
I believe the PFL is in their main event. And I only say that because I think it started about 3 hours before the BKFC. And they're only a 3-fight difference with the same amount of fights.
Now, not fair completely not having watched it, but generally speaking, PFL has some wacky way they go about timing their shows.
And it feels like they're encouraged to go over the time that the TV says. If you go 20, 30 minutes over the hour, they're not mad. So it's a little rough to understand how the product is timed.
In other words, a lot of their shows drag on forever.
They often you would not be mad at all. Might be appreciated in some fashion.
Which I think is why they were attracted to Bellator, because Bellator wasn't really good at efficient timing of their shows either.
It's not really combat sports, but there's enough hitting in it. I am shocked. The Oilers have won a 3rd game in a row. We are going to a Game 7 in the Stanley Cup after the Panthers are absolutely dominating. Now they've been blowing out in 2 games after losing that close Game 5.
All right. They were up 3-0, right? So it's 3-3 now?
It's 3-3. And we're going to have to look at the stats, but depending on who scored what, Connor McDavid might have the new scoring record over Gretzky. He was only 5 points behind going into tonight, I want to say.
Asterisk.
It might be the greatest scorer. Oh, wow. Right hand on the ear. Ibarola scores the knockdown. And unfortunately for Caruso, his back of his head bounced off the mat when he landed. It's over. He can't get up. There's no equilibrium. I don't think it was the first hit that knocked him out. I think it was the second, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It was the...
Oh. I'll see the replay, but you may very well be right on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not saying that Ibarola did not land one hell of a punch, but I think the bouncing the head off the mat, the extra reverberation to the brain, is what did it. But Ibarola is now 4-0, I believe, 135. Ibarola, Garcia, Perez, and not to mention I'm seeing Ryan Raver out in the crowd. 135. There's a youth movement with some big power.
Yeah, for 4-0 for Ibarola. The punch was solid, but you might be right. When his head hit the mat, that might have been what did it.
Well, and sometimes you celebrate Nakashi. At least for Ibarola, he was dancing the whole 10 count and done for. So the blue mullet, the streak continues.
That's a good nickname, by the way.
The blue mullet. It's definitely original.
Sure. He's got tattoos behind his ear. He's got tattoos in the most painful places. Why would you do that to yourself? Because again, if you get hit there or something, it like sends shockwaves and all. When he's got the tattoo down there doing that and it jars you, you feel that everything.
Oh, it sounds devastating. I just know that I have one tattoo on my arm, and my friend said it would take an hour. 3 hours later, I'm like, why are you still drilling me?
Like, I have mine on my lower calf, and that hurt like hell, and there's no real bone there. So yeah, getting one near bone, like we were talking about earlier, down the spine, and then right there, then so close to a nerve center there, but back behind your ear.
Well, you've seen our friend Wilfredo Santiago, the brown bomber, bare knuckle boxer. I don't know how he has a tribal down one side of his head. On the back of the head, he has the logo of the first gym he trained at, Defensive Edge. I'm like, dude, there's more tattoo on his head than I thought anybody could stand.
Yeah, that's tough, man. You got to be tough to get tattoos like that.
So one of the biggest points made by David Feldman, president of BKFC, for this card, it's their largest grossing card in this venue. They've been to the venue like 6 times.
Right.
So that's a huge accomplishment. And no Mike Perry, no UFC, no Bellator. This is a homegrown card, is what they called it. We have had one UFC veteran on the card, Yordani Cedeno, who fought on the prelims and had already had 4 bare knuckle fights. This for BKFC feels like a moment for them. They're like, look, we are doing this with our guys. We sold out. We're getting these views and buys with our guys.
I think they have done a phenomenal job, and I'm going to bring this back around to what you just said, bringing people in from UFC, from other places, but not just bringing them in for the sake of bringing them in, but yes, you bring them in because you want to get eyeballs on your product, but so many of those cards that a Mike Perry have been on or others, they've also loaded up, and there's been so much talent that maybe fans were just seeing for the first time, more of your homegrown products, your homegrown talent, that it's made you want to come back and see them again. So my point is, they've used that talent to showcase their homegrown talent rather than solely relying on, well, if we can get Mike Perry to fight 3 times a year, that's 3 big cards. Whatever happens with the other cards happens. They didn't go that route. They've used guys like that. Yes, bring them in for eyeballs, but to put people on those cards that you're going to want to see again and again.
There's some people in the comments section asking for more play-by-play fights. We'll do that on the next one. Ibarola lined up the right hand. It was a one-shot knockout. The right cross on the chin, and Caruso fell back.
Yeah. Just so we do have to kind of be a little careful with that. We can't just sit here and get the play-by-play. But yeah, we can update you a little more. Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, sorry about that.
Right now, 4-driver stout commercial.
I don't think we need play-by-play of that.
No. But leave me to ask you if you've ever tried it.
No.
Because I know you've tried the proper 12, right? At least a shot. See,
Yeah,
I don't think I went there on that.
Don't. No, I don't like foo-foo beer, man. I'm from the South. give me some Natty Light or Bud Light or whatever. That's all I need. Stouts and pale this and whatever that. It's just not my thing.
I very rarely drink beer, so don't ask me. Sorry.
What did you say Bucked Up was again?
Bucked Up is an energy drink company that also does nutrition and like supplements, kind of like Max Muscle and stuff here.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah. So they're energy drinks and everything you need for your workout and your vitamin. So right now, guys, we are in a break. Coming up next is going to be starting with the 3 title fights. Jomi Escoboza and Jared Captain Deadpool Warren are going to be fighting for the vacant BKFC light heavyweight title. This is a rematch. Jared did get the victory, welcoming Jomi over to BKFC. Jomi and David Feldman with different points of view on this one. Jomi says a win tonight, and he is the undisputed middleweight champion of bare knuckle because he was the first BYD 185 bare knuckle champion. He says he will be the winner of the 2-belt era. I'm not trying to hate on BYB, but David Feldman yelled out, "This is only the 1-belt era," during the press conference at his fighter.
That's actually pretty funny.
That is really funny. Jomi Escoboza, we do have an interview up with him on the YouTube channel. Never met a bare knuckle boxer that talks so much about anime. Jomi is the one with the longer braided hair.
Gotcha.
Yeah, controversial decision in their first fight. Never seen a guy fighting in NASA trunks either. Promised us tonight he has no homage to the Green Ranger.
Have you never seen an Israel Adesanya interview? Or do you mean that you personally talked to one-on-one? Because they...
No, like I personally,
okay, I got
personally got to do the interview.
I
Adesanya
got
talked a lot about anime, but the most that I've gotten to do during an interview, well, besides one with John Dodson, because he also gets pretty deep on it.
Yeah.
And it's, if you're wondering, right off the bat, Jared Warren will be coming in as the betting favorite. He did get the victory the first time, and he's coming off of beating Danny Christie, the BKFC UK champion at 185 pounds. In Warren's mind, he has already put out the statement, well, if Lorenzo would have hurried up and vacated the titles, my fight with Danny would have been for the real belt instead of just a feature fight in the UK. So there's a little bit of contention here in this first title fight about who feels like they're already the champion. And they're rematching, so it'll be fun. Are you surprised that the UFC fight tomorrow is still on ABC?
No.
Okay. I just wondered if the loss of Hamzat Chimaev, that commercial, lost that name, if you would say we're shifting this to ESPN.
My guess would be ABC would then have to find
Other
alternate programming. Just leave it there. And my guess is here in the US, it'll still do really good numbers. Will it do as good? I'm not going to say that. Because it's a huge loss to the card, but you still got Whitaker. It's still a pretty fun card. So yeah, no, not surprised at all.
This is probably the most hype I've ever seen for the BKFC, the longest lull that we've had in action. We have a graphic right now setting up, again, our 3 main events, our world title fights coming up. And if you care about the MMA, PFL is still going on. We do have results up on the website. And you talk about tattoos.
Brian Duran.
Brian Duran has quite a few, and it's. I have nothing against face tattoos. He's got like the fish under his eye and something else here on the left side under the eye. The amount of pain that feels like that would be on the bone and the nerves.
You're probably not going to answer this, Mike, but I'll ask you anyway. Is that a Jesus fish?
I think it is. I do believe it is.
Right, you remember the episode of Seinfeld when Putty had the Jesus thing on the Jesus fish on it? Yeah.
He is born again.
Then it probably is.
It probably
All right.
is. Yes.
All right, see, you
That
were
was-
able to answer it. All right.
Oh yeah. No, because we had a whole interview at his armored SUV after he weighed in for BKFC 57, talking about how he was reborn again. It was a rental car. It was special.
Okay, I was gonna say, did he need an armored SUV or did he just want an armored SUV?
I think they wanted it for the look. It was just like how they also had a diamond plexiglass cutout so you could see his pit bull was roaming around in his kennel, because you can see in the interview, you look back and like, why are there glowing eyes every so often between me and the fighter? And my sister, who was doing the cameraman at that point, was like, did you notice the dog? And I'm like, what dog? I turn around, I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's funny.
Hellhound looking glowing eyes coming out from behind you. Real quick, keeping you guys updated on what they're showing us. We are getting a recap of all the dynamic finishes. Thanks for joining. Thanks for commenting.
Word.
Exactly. Some great finishes tonight. I think that Pomodoro looks like a future really top-notch world title challenger there. At heavyweight, Edgar Palazzolo finding the energy to still finish and have those combinations in the fourth round, ripping off the rapid-fire hooks.
Yeah.
Any one of them else sticking out for you?
Palazzolo, yeah, the Dodson fight. I was, we talked earlier with the 2-minute rounds. You see quicker pace, more action. That dude came out like a house of fire, and for the most part, really never slowed down.
It's impressive that with his aggression, he's able to not allow his opponent to circle. He is really good at cornering and putting you on those ropes.
And even like they were, when they were trading in the first round, and we kept talking about how he had Eric backed up against the ropes, and then you made the comment, all right, now Dodson's out, able to get out a little bit. He's being the aggressor. Before you can get out of your mouth, he had backed Dodson back into up against the ropes again.
Yeah, even when Dodson hit the angle, that pressure was so ravenous. There's such a force with him. So Palazzolo, there was a real reason why I kept saying the guy here is going to be getting some looks for that top 5, and you can see that kind of impressive performance. Highlights we're seeing now: Brian Duran versus Louis Lopez from BKFC 57, and right here is where Duran actually knocked out the former title challenger for the first time in his career. That was like a 4th round finish. So Duran, he's an animal who punches almost everything, if you look at his social media, to condition his knuckles. And that fight showed how late into the fight he can still carry that power and hurt you at any moment. If you look at the betting odds, both the main event and the co-main event, we're expected to see changes of the title. We're getting highlights right now from what was the incredible performance by Keith Richardson. 4 knockdowns in a blink of an eye to take the title. And now he comes in against Alberto Blas, who 4-0, 4 first-round finishes. Keith Richardson told me the fact that he's been to a decision, that he's been in a fight of the year caliber war will make a difference. I don't know how right he is, because he's like, I fought bare knuckle. Alberto Blas has just hit people bare knuckle. Because he didn't get hit. Left hand knocked the guy out. So it's a double-edged sword. You have the toughness. This guy has the precision where he's never even had to show the toughness.
I feel like we've gone into stall mode here.
I wonder if there's an injury or something that happened and you don't have a medical physician ringside. or if they maybe even had to transport someone to the hospital from an injury and you don't have the ambulance, because this is a bit more stalling, and I apologize to everybody here. We would be giving you guys more updates on the event if we were seeing more action. Right now, we're getting highlights from Captain Deadpool, Jared Warren's victory over Danny Christie there at the BKFC in England.
I would assume we're about to get the walkouts here in a minute for the first of the 3 title fights.
I think we're going to get it. So I was looking over here at the comments, trying to figure out what a couple of them was. Searching lottery tickets. Thanks for dropping in. The rest of you, thanks for hanging out.
Can I get some of them lottery tickets?
Searching lottery tickets until we win. It's a really long title for a channel, right?
Oh, that was a channel. I thought somebody was going to buy lottery.
No, it's actually there.
Oh, rock on. Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. We're getting the walkouts. It's like mini Tarzan versus La Hoya.
The lawyer, yeah, I can see
like,
that. Sure.
And Jared Warren looks like he could be, any model man or regular job.
Sure.
I know you don't like the PFL updates, but
What's fine?
unfortunately, Pitbull lost. Jomi Ectaboza coming out is Green Ranger themed.
God, I don't think I would have done that with the sword. I realized it was a plastic sword, but he just shoved it down his pants.
It was funny. You're trying to watch him take it out for the weigh-ins to pose with it at the ceremonials.
Yeah.
Just in case anybody is on the YouTube from the Florida area and you're looking at real estate property, hit up Jomi Escoboza. He'll get you the best deal. Said so on the interview. Gotta, be proud of a man that's trying to become a mogul in a couple different industries.
Now, did you get a commission off of that?
No, not really, but I'm hoping I get a discount for my family when we're trying to buy our place in Tampa. I told them I might have some business for him. Wink, wink.
Do they have gators in the Tampa area?
They have gators everywhere in
See,
Florida.
I was afraid. That's why I don't want to go to Florida. Or, I mean, I'd go there. I'd take my chances visiting. But I don't know if I could live somewhere that there might be a gator under my car when I come out one morning.
You say that, and I saw the John Jones video today.
With the bear?
Live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And yeah, John's like, my security alarm went off in the middle of the morning. Thought we had an intruder. And there was a brown bear wandering around his SUV. And I'm just like, John, why isn't your gate closed?
John was smart enough to make the joke before anybody else could. So, because he referred to it as a cocaine bear. Because, people would have been all over that. But if he does it first, that takes the zing away from it, right?
That bear knew where he was going.
See? Stop, Micah. That damn John Jones action figure on your wall is going to come to life and beat your ass.
I still look at that Forum John Jones t-shirt I got from back in the day that matches the shorts he's wearing in the action figure. I'm like, oh, what happened to Bones? We do have the walkouts right now. BKFC 62, vacant light heavyweight title fight about to get underway. We do have Captain Deadpool, Jared Warren, entering now. Again, with one of the best dressed corners in all of combat sports. I don't know if you saw his head coach there from Shift MMA. Always decked out for the nines.
Very dapper, yes.
Very dapper. And the team even got the jackets, looking stylish.
Teams all wearing the Letterman jackets.
So when I talked to Jomi, he said his point, and like his point of fighting, is he wants to be remembered as the most annoying southpaw ever, continually poking at you with the jab. And everybody knows that southpaws are hard to deal with. Everybody feels that they're awkward. I think did you ever hear the story from Dana White? He's like, if it wasn't for southpaws, I think I could be a professional boxer. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they're just tricky. We'll see what that does with Jomi versus Jared Warren. Jared, again, comes in having won the first fight, but they did go all 5 rounds. And this is Florida, so just to remind you guys, yes, they do have the 6th round if we go to a decision.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. And
Part of the draw.
Yeah, right. So yeah, with the next 3 fights being title fights, that could come into play.
Very much so. You want to see, there must be a winner. You want to see the title go home for sure. I gotta ask them next time I'm there, like, how many events do I gotta cover to get on medallions? You saw the BKFC medallion. Hey, I've been at like 8 events. I should be getting there.
I don't think it's like when you get your jacket for your 50th clean drug test in UFC. I think you just find somebody selling it and you buy it or whatever. I don't know.
I obviously have to look next time I'm in South Florida. Seems to be the hub of where they're at.
Hold on, Mike. Google is your friend. I will find you a BKFC medallion. BKFC.
We're not talking through the fight. Yes, we are getting underway.
Right, it's just
right now.
Yeah.
They've towed the line. Jared Warren coming out with some short hooks right away on Jomi, pushing Jomi back. Jomi missing over the top with his jab. And so far, Jared's finding the hooks, being able to counter on the inside with shorter, crisper shots. Both of these guys are veterans, 8 and 10 fights in bare knuckle. If you listen to Chris Lytle, he said he feels the number is 4 to 5. When you see a fighter really in their 4th to 5th bare knuckle fight, that's when you can see the transition, the understanding, the really knowing what they're doing. The left hook of Jared Warren is doing a lot of damage. There is a cut, if not just major swelling, around Jomi's right eye, and we're just a minute in.
Before the walkouts, Warren was a minus 140 favorite. Right before the bell, it jumped to minus 200. And he just dropped Escoboza.
Escoboza knocked down. He is cut inside of his right eye. Doesn't look like it was like a concussive blow knockdown, more of an off-balance knockdown. But still, the jab that Jomi was also adamant about wanting to use, not being effective, getting some short shots here in what was a very awkward high clinch.
If you have the height advantage that Escoboza does, why would you bend down and lower yourself? And eat a punch and have a big standing count.
Was that a standing count right there? Or it's not the end of the round?
Oh, okay, you're right. That was the end of the round.
I think he, got out of that clinch in an awkward way. But the blood on the lips, the cut under the right eye, the left hook of Jared Warren catching Escoboza in between shots.
You know what? That was a pretty damn solid shot right at the end of the round. Now, did that come before or after the bell? Because, that was what dropped him at the end. I didn't realize we were at the end,
There was a short left hand, end of the first round. Escoboza did drop to his knees. Doesn't look like they called it a knockdown. Maybe it was after the bell. Not sure. Does look like they're ready to go here, but a big, definitely 10-8 first round for Captain Deadpool, Jared Warren.
And there he goes, squatting down to he makes himself like 4 inches shorter than Warren. That makes no sense to me. Use the advantages God blessed you with.
Now, you figure with him talking about wanting to use that jab, you would be wanting to get that distance.
Yeah.
But I said to him when I was talking to him, I feel like you have a really awkward stance and movement compared to other people, and I think that's seeing
that, yeah.
And it's something with the bend in the knees. It's not the traditional way,
Right.
because he kind of bends his in instead of just squatting down. And I think we just saw Escoboza going for a ninja choke as Jared Warren was pushing into his chest. And right now we're having a collision in the clinch. It feels like there's just too much forward pressure from both guys to not get anything clean off. They're just meeting force with force, and it's getting stuck.
Oh, there's a lot of hugging in the second round.
I don't know if there was a headbutt, but now we have blood outside the right eye of Captain Deadpool. Maybe it's these little shots in the clinch. Joey's just kind of tapping consistently.
Ooh, and he is bleeding pretty badly.
Warren's bleeding pretty badly. He just
No.
Joey's up. Joey is down. Right hand, put him on skates. Left hand, put him on his knees. It's a title fight, so Escoboza's getting a second right here. I don't know if he's going to be able to continue. We got 13 seconds.
He does not seem steady on his feet, but nope, we're going to keep going.
8 seconds. 8 seconds left. Clinch. I think we're going to survive, maybe. Joey's taking some shots at the bell. Oh, barely surviving. Yeah. Looking at the replay for a second, guys, we are in between rounds. Captain Deadpool causing another cut. So Joey, I believe, is cut between his eyes, under his right eye, over his left eye. Got dropped 2 times now in the fight for a round that, with the damage he was causing, was probably winning to begin with, but that has now been negated by the knockdown. Oh, that right hand was disgusting of a right hook, and then a follow back up with the left. Short, just straight little left hand. It wasn't even extended.
Well, it looked like he got stunned by I believe that was a right before that, and that kind of staggered him a little bit. And then when he came back in, the little short jab just dropped him.
And it was just the moment where I'm thinking, Jared Warren's starting to look a little tired. I was just about to say it, and then he landed that big right hand. 2 different cuts.
And now we're sending him back over to the doctor.
At least at this point, I think they're going to allow it to continue. Yeah. The cornerman did a really good job of stopping the lacerations from bleeding, because they're not cuts. They're lacerations. Joey will have many memories of this fight.
Maybe.
Okay, lasting presence from it. That jab is not getting going, and every time he's trying to get it, Warren is either ducking under or able to go over top of it.
Got about 1:20 left in the third round.
Escoboza trying to push forward at this point.
Oh.
Big left hand.
From Warren.
Escoboza is trying to fire back.
Again.
Was that a knockdown, or did he slip? Are they calling that a knockdown?
I think that was a knockdown.
I just couldn't tell if anything landed or if he lunged forward.
They are giving him the count.
They're giving him the 10 count. I definitely think he'll be able to continue. Escoboza now has been down in each of the first 3 rounds. Will need something massive to make a comeback. Warren doing a really good job. Escoboza grabbing a Muay Thai clinch, and you see Warren using the opening in the space to land his left uppercut.
at least so far, Escoboza really hasn't been able to get much of anything going. Now, he was able to open up that cut on Warren, but he hasn't really suffered the effects of that, and he's been the aggressor for most of this fight.
It's the concussive blows, the more damaging solid shots have all been from the Warren side. We're through 4. We're through 3 now, right?
Yeah.
Going to the 4th. Warren looking tired as everything, but he's up on the scorecards easily across.
You would assume, Micah.
Those knockdowns, I don't think you can really.
Well, you would assume.
I don't think.
No, I agree with you, but you never know.
Upset in the PFL. Mads Burnell did beat Clay Collard.
Okay.
Small upset.
Yeah. And that was the recall. They're showing highlights. That was definitely a knockdown. So yeah. All right. So now we go to round number 4.
Betting odds looking like they have this one pegged right so far.
I would think so.
I'm like, it's close, but again, the damage and the decisive knockdowns all going in the favor of Warren, even though I feel like maybe only one of the 3. Escoboza was really hurt, the one in the second round.
Yeah.
After the right hand with the short left. That was a really damaging knockdown. The other 2, not as bad. One looked off balance. And how'd you feel about that one in the 3rd? Was that concussive, or do you feel like that was more off balance?
I think it was a little. I think the punch jarred him and knocked him loose, and then he was going to try to clinch up, and Warren kind of tapped him again and moved out of the way, and he just kind of fell flat. But yeah, certainly the one in the second round was the more punishment for sure. I was about to say Escoboza needs to get off the ropes, or this fight ain't going to go much longer. He was able to do that, and then get the tie up, and the referee splits him up, and now they're back at it again.
They both look exhausted.
I think they're both very
This
tired.
has been grueling for the first 6 minutes.
This might actually work out in Escoboza's favor if he can capitalize on Warren's tiredness the rest of this round and going into 5.
And as you're saying that, little time that he had to work in the clinch from the referee, Escoboza pounding in right hands to that midsection. Now you see Warren returning the favor right to the hip. It's got to be grueling feeling those knuckles dig into the organs and push what little air you're trying to take in right back out.
Ooh, and that not a knockdown, but just after the bell, Escoboza went down yet again. Yep, and that also might have been more of a push than a punch anyway. But the referee waved it off. No knockdown, but on to round 5 now. And yeah, I'm with you, Mike. I would assume through 4 rounds, worst case scenario for Warren, he's up 3-1, 3 rounds to 1, and probably should be up 4-0. But again, you don't want to take anything for granted when it comes to judging.
I feel like this is 40-33 possibly on the scorecard for Warren, just because I think we're counting 3-10-8 with the first 3 knockdowns. Maybe. Yeah. I always feel like you win the round, you get a point. You knock him down, you get that extra point. You get that. So it's that 8. Yeah. That's 3 rounds. You might be right that it could be 3 rounds to 1, but those 3 rounds have been so decisive.
Oh, yeah.
This is 2 minutes to get a knockout, or Jared gets the belt that he felt he should have claimed in the UK. And then it brings up the questions, what is the plans of Lorenzo Hunt? The champion vacated, went up to go up the heavyweight. We saw the nasty dislocated elbow. Maybe we won't need the judges. Warren coming back with some more precision left hands, but Escoboza Dude, the toughness, getting into that clinch. Just not enough activity.
Yeah, Warren at this point definitely seems like he has a little more in the tank. But again, no doubt about it, they both are definitely worn down here. But not only having taken in less damage, but Warren just is like he has a little more energy at this point. Referee splits them up. Now they're back at it. Yeah, it really looks like Escoboza at this point is just trying to make it to the end of the fight.
See that final finish line. The exhaustion in these last 2 rounds has turned this into a grueling effort in the clinch, and neither one is really able to land anything of a substantial factor. But the 3 knockdowns and the major cuts done from those.
You got to assume Warren's about 15 seconds away from a very decisive victory.
And another person that brings into this discussion is the possibility of Mike Perry. He did win his last fight at 185 pounds at BKFC. I know he's going to go box Jake Paul, but Lorenzo Hunt, Mike Perry, that could be the future for Jared Warren, who we have concluded 5 rounds. Wait for the scorecards, but it looks pretty easy equation to solve. Captain Deadpool will be the new BKFC light heavyweight champion. Someone that's been in the promotion for 5 years, a long journey for him to reach the pinnacle.
Just to give you a heads up, if this decision is announced as anything other than a Warren unanimous decision, I'm going to riot. So I'll probably destroy your studio here.
Don't hurt the studio. What if
I won't. Don't worry. But yeah, I thought I liked Warren going in, but I'm very surprised, very impressed with his performance. I did not expect it to be as dominating as it was.
I thought there was going to have to be some managing and working around that jab to be successful. And I feel like just the managing of the distance, crashing in so hard, it eliminated Jomi from using that tool at all. And I'm not sure if Jomi was maybe with that bend down stance thinking I'm aiming my jab up, but it was not the best use of his most effective weapon. And yeah, actually, we got to remember that in the first round, there should have been 2 knockdowns because there was that left hand in the clinch that even I didn't notice that we saw in the replay where it was a real drop.
Yeah.
So you would have had 4 knockdowns in the first 3 rounds.
So not bad for the first of our 3 title fights to finish off this BKFC card.
These were the biggest guys, and I feel like this might actually, I think they're the hardest punchers. This might be the longest of the fights, though. Well, the main event could also get to the decision if Kai Stewart, if the champion retains. I really think Kai is going to have a grueling kind of clinch performance where he's heavy on Brian Duran, looking to weaken Duran, because when we had seen Duran here for the last BKFC in Albuquerque, he was a little heavy. We were questioning if he was moving up to lightweight. And Kai Stewart even had mentioned to me, I don't think I'm fighting him. He looks a little big right now. Then they got matched. So we'll see if that conditioning, that size, plays in effect. And Lorenzo Hunt is right in the cage. We'll see what the former champ has to say as his belt is about to be wrapped around someone else's waist. Disappointing night you can see on the face from Jomi Escoboza.
Yeah, he knows it too.
You know, Warren actually has more damage on his face than I expected.
He's got a cut under his left eye, and you know we saw earlier in the fight the right eye damage, the cut there in the brow, and then there's some swelling under that right eye as well.
I think they're at 49, 43.
Yeah.
Shout out to, I believe, Jared Warren is a fire department captain in Tampa. Jared Warren given the belt, and ominously, Lorenzo Hunt, the former champion, is standing right behind him, sporting the new Brian Duran t-shirt. I guess we could only expect that Lorenzo is going to be coming maybe back for one of his belts. This is the 185 title. Lorenzo had 185 and 205.
Right.
I had heard David Feldman, and I kind of agree with him. I'd like to see Lorenzo at 205 when he comes back. He wanted to do 3 different weight classes. I don't think he's big enough for heavyweight. I think 205 is the sweet spot.
Yeah, I agree with you. The heavyweight, he's probably at a disadvantage. I think 205 is a sweet spot. You have to wonder as he gets older if you're trying to go back down any lower, how those weight cuts start to affect you. So yeah, if you're feeling good at 205, I think that's definitely the sweet spot.
First of the 3 title fights in the bank. And also, if you're listening to the betting show that they were having on the BKFC pre-show, they had went with the favorites in all 3 title fights. So Jared Warren already successful, and still is the other, and new was the prediction for the co-main event and the main event. We're expected to see 2 title changes according to those odds makers. Kai Stewart is shown to be double top, and not to mention Keith Richardson has went through some wars to be able to get this BKFC title. It'd be truly impressive to see if Glass or Duran is able to score the knockout, which they've both been able to do consistently through their careers.
Real quick before we get to the next title fight, for those jumping in later and maybe didn't hear it when it first happened, BKFC announcing tonight they're going to hold an event at Sturgis during the motorcycle rally.
That's so cool.
That is, it brings a unique set of challenges based on how WCW did wrestling events there. I don't believe they'll be selling tickets, so you're not making money at the gate. But the spectacle of it, the visual presentation, and just the coolness of it, I don't know that you could put a price on that.
That audience, to that number, to say attended the event also, it's too tempting to be like, wow, we might get 30,000 people here. Like, that's a real thing? And that just feels like a stupid number.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa. So, of course, we're bringing up Sturgis. So I have to ask, because we've all been addicted to reality TV at one point, and can't think of Sturgis without saying, did you ever watch Full Throttle Saloon? You did.
Yeah, I did. I've seen it.
Okay, so we all know what we're talking about, where it's going.
Yeah.
Just had to ask. That's what I think. Rolled Wild and that Bad Motorcycle Bars reality show is what I think of for Sturgis. So I am all in on this event. I think it's going to be so much fun. Co-main event, we have Alberto Blas Right now, approaching the squared circle for his co-main event, challenging the Rockstar Keith Richardson for the BKFC Bantamweight title, will be Richardson's first defense of this belt.
Since you brought it, I'm not sure that the Full Throttle Saloon's at the same location, or that it actually burned down. I don't know if they rebuilt. They have rebuilt it. I don't know if they rebuilt on the same site or somewhere else. Because I know that they were gonna. I thought, what was Jesse's quote? We're gonna make it bigger, badder than ever, and then I think he cranked up a chainsaw or something.
End of the show, right? When they have set on fire.
Oh no, this was after that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So who do you like? So this is the second of our 3 title fights. Who do you like in this one?
I've watched Keith Richardson fight more, and I've interviewed him a few times, so I'm a little biased on. I feel like it should be a pick'em fight because he has the reputation for being tough. He's been knocked down, got back up. His combinations and hand speed are so fast. And when he took the belt, it was in such a surprising performance. Like, Blas just got a win over Alvarez, and Alvarez, I just don't feel like it's the same quality. I don't know if you look at Blas's resume, he hasn't beat any of the young prospects in the top 5. So I feel like Richardson is a little more tested, but the boxing of Blas and his precision, one-punch knockout power, makes him such a real live threat. Where Richardson, it's been the hand speed and the combinations and accumulation of knockdowns.
Okay.
Horrible to pick on this one. I'm just totally on the fence, right, guys?
Blas a minus 140 favorite, just for the record. But I mean, Richardson's plus 106. So I mean, yeah, it's not like he's a massive underdog or anything here.
Yeah, you put down 100, you get all of that $106 back.
Right. They could speed this along because I really got to pee.
Hopefully this one is a first round finish. Going to a decision was kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
Didn't feel right. And there must have been a medical incident somewhere in the arena because we saw how much quicker now they got back to the co-main event from the feature fight. So I wonder if there really was, lack of medical personnel for a moment.
I don't know.
That's usually when I'm at events and I can get the info where they tell me, nope, the doc was needed, the ambulance was needed. Well, that was a really fast jab from Blas. Yeah, Richardson trying to get in his face and create the brawl. These quick counters. Richardson already down for the first time.
And he's still trying to fight.
Richardson trying to pretend like he wasn't knocked down.
I wasn't knocked down. I know what you're talking about. That wasn't me popping down and getting back up.
Blast sliding out of the way. These counter right hands. Richardson not able to time that. His left hand's a little bit too low. He got stunned again.
In trouble.
Yeah, Blast is going to end
this
this
down
quick.
again.
And now he's trying to grapple.
Oh, yeah, they got to start this. He's holding on to Blast's leg and the referee's leg.
Fight's over.
Yeah.
There's a major well over the top left side. Richardson's head. He is out on his feet and trying to fight the ref. Short shots, Blast.
Oh, and he is punching the ref. Holy shnikey. This fight should have been stopped before that, because when he spent 10 seconds holding the leg of Blast and the referee, you should have known he wasn't all there at that point.
The odds makers were truly correct. The precision punching of Alberto Blast, incredible, catching Richardson coming in.
Now, to the referee's credit, he only let Richardson eat one more punch after that, but it should have been stopped there. They should have never engaged again.
Yeah, definitely got to administer that officiating, and props to Richardson's cornerman who ran in there and grabbed a hold of him, and he was able to recognize that person. That was ridiculously impressive.
And look, if you really want to get technical, we can go back to the first knockdown where he just popped back up like he didn't get knocked down. You have to wonder
if he was out.
Right. If he was kind of out on his feet at that point. Because he did everything in his power not to have the ref check on him. Like, nope, we're fighting. I didn't get knocked down. What are you doing? But yeah, after the second knockdown, it should have been over.
That was just ridiculous.
I'm curious if they show all of this. All right, so here's the first knockdown.
It's a right hook, clear right behind the ear.
Yeah. Yeah, and see, I think at that point it might have been, but certainly after this, I'm not exaggerating, like 8 or 10 seconds, right? He's holding on to.
I thought they were going to stop it after with how long he was holding on to both of their legs. You had to understand that he didn't know where the frick he was.
Exactly.
That was a wild scene.
That's huge for Blast. All right, well, hold down the fort before we get to the main event. I gotta go.
2 for 2 so far on the parlay from the odds makers earlier that did the BKFC preview show. A new bantamweight champion, Alberto Blast. An incredible performance. The precision and the devastation to the highest levels. Congratulations to the new champ. Stand up real quick, show you guys off the t-shirt, page lines, official merchandise. Go on over to Zia Prints. That's where you can buy the merchandise. Shout out to the guys from the Beatdown and down over at Dapper Barber Parlor, the Beatdown with Friends. We'll be back on this channel next week, going live for UFC 303. Me and Michael Carlyle, MMA After Hours. We will be live on location there at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. So I'll catch you back up. Jared Warren, the new BKFC light heavyweight champion, and Alberto Blas, your new BKFC bantamweight champion, the first round knockout. One more fight to go. We head to the main event. Kai Stewart defending against Brian Duran, the third of 3 title fights, and the one that we all came to see, the headliner. A deep, exciting young bantamweight division, and I know we saw a ton of prospects tonight. I don't know if any of those dudes are ready for Blast.
You know what? I don't either.
That precision with his counter striking and ability to move back and be that calm. All the guys we've seen tonight, well, they've been some really good young bantamweight prospects. They've been forward moving fighters. That's not going to work out for them well.
No. The only thing I would say about Blast is, and look, he went out and got the job done, no doubt about it, but that fight, for all intents and purposes, might have been over about 8 seconds, 10 seconds in with that first knockdown.
And that's 5 for 5 in first rounds. That it's only taken him 2 minutes to dispose of all of these people.
Okay, well, yeah, in that case, then, yeah, you can't say it's a fluke. You got a lucky punch early on, and he wasn't able to recover. Yeah, if you're doing it every damn fight,
It's scary.
yeah, at some point in time, it's not a fluke. It's more than a pattern. It's what you do.
I'm going to go do what you did. I'll give you a
Well, good luck, because I almost died. Yeah, that's all right. So yeah, the first two of these title fights have been great. Now we're getting ready for the third, Kai Stewart and Brian Duran, and they're about to start those walkouts now. So no long delays here. We're going to get right to this one. And I know Mike has said earlier that this one he can see it going the distance. I'll just go ahead and say it now. I don't. I think this one probably ends inside of 2 rounds. Yeah. Having said that, I don't feel strongly one way or the other about one fighter or the other. I just think one of them gets it done sooner rather than later. And if I'm wrong on that, he's not in here. He didn't hear it. We just won't tell him it's not. But we'll see how that goes with Stewart and Duran coming up here momentarily. By the way, Mike is the type of guy that invites you over, and then when you got to use the bathroom, the whole rest of the building's pitch black dark and you can't see. I didn't think I was going to make it back. Terrible. Terrible. So Duran making his walkout now, and then we'll get Stewart, and then we'll get on with this main event here. Been a really fun card. I jumped in right at the end of the prelims. Enjoyed that fight in the 9-fight main card here. We're 8 fights in, and I think this is going to be really good. So we'll see if the main event continues that, and I kind of have a sneaky suspicion it will.
So Duran finally in the ring, and now here comes Stewart. See, you were able to make it back. I got about 4 steps out there. I'm like, I really wish I'd brought my phone so I could turn the flashlight on. I'm like, I remember seeing a Papa Shot somewhere. There might have been some dog toys. I'm either going to step on something squeaky or I'm going to trip and wind up face first into something.
Not to mention the kids' disc golf set. Yeah. It's like a frat house out there. My apologies.
I'm disappointed we're not out there, so I could be playing on the Papa Shot.
The amount of BKFC medallions that we're seeing tonight amazes me.
Oh, yeah, I was trying to find you one.
Yeah, I realized my phone was dying. I had to leave it on the charger in the other room because I don't have the connection plugged in here. You guys are wondering. Main event time. Kai, Fancy, Mustache, Stewart, and Guile, Brian, Hands of freaking Stone, Duran, about to do it here. Stewart, a wrestler who was an MMA fighter who took a bare knuckle fight on a whim and won and got an offer and kind of kept building and had this infectious personality and was able to fight for the title. And even back in Salt Lake City, I believe that was BKFC 56, defeated a very talented pugilist, technical boxer in Howard Davis, another one. I don't want to say training partner, but they have sparred with Duran, so he's already beat somebody kind of from this area. I'm sure that most of the BKFC faithful, you guys already know, but there's like a subcontext. It's almost like everyone against Florida, because with the pandemic, and we know BKFC really did set up a shop like a lot of companies from Florida. You see the theme in title fights of all these Florida fighters. So there's almost are these BKFC guys in Florida stigma versus other guys from Montana and out of the company? You're not able to find this yet? Or
No, I'm not. But the first thing, so I couldn't find anything on the BKFC website. So I just Googled BKFC. I tried medallions, that didn't work. So I said necklaces. And the first thing that popped up was the necklace with MMA gloves on it. I'm like, well, that seems weird. But no, I'm scrolling down the bottom, and Temu clearance, MMA necklace clearance. Can you imagine what you're getting from Temu? When you
MMA necklace clearance? No, I can't. No, you said MMA necklace clearance, though. I don't know if I've ever showed you I have this.
Oh, the little octagon.
You know the necklaces they gave the guys on the Ultimate Fighter back in the day? Yeah. Guess everybody not that I'm trying to show off, but as you said, MMA necklaces.
Oh, I don't think anybody thought you were trying to show off like that.
No. Random trinkets.
If anything, they're like, wow, he's got a damn UFC necklace.
It's got a UFC flask somewhere for some reason.
Trying to think. I don't think I have UFC or MMA. I don't have anything too wonky. I got some wonky wrestling crap. Action figures, masks.
My loving wife was on vacation in Vegas and didn't know what to buy me, so bought me the most randomest stuff that had the words UFC on it, or letters. Hey, you'll like this.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I can promise you almost anything. It probably wasn't the cheapest thing she could have bought you. So I mean, she put a little money into it.
Man, this is UFC. I loved it. Yeah. Can't say that I'm much of a flask guy. Main event is getting underway, guys. Introductions right now. Kai Stewart being introduced to the booings of the Florida crowd. This is what he wanted. He wanted to go on the road, be that heel, get into bigger markets, bigger fights. Brian Duran, this ridiculous power. Duran, your betting favorite, right?
Yes. Duran minus 149 is what it closed at. Stewart is plus 112.
Right away, the forward pressure of Stewart turns into a takedown. Duran did grab the back of his head. Can't tell if he hit the ropes. Only mentioning that because I have seen guys get knocked out. These are not professional wrestling ring ropes. These aren't boxing ring ropes. These are big, heavy steel cables. These ropes don't have much give. They stay in that shape, and they keep the fighters much more in line with the fighting surface, much more like in a cage, really, than a ring.
Yeah.
So I've seen guys, the head hits off that rope in the wrong way, and it's enough to rattle the brain.
I have a feeling Duran's going to end this early.
Duran does have that power advantage, and Stewart, it looks like he's using his forward pressure. He did land a clean one on the chin, but he does not have the power. He has to have the pressure and tire out Duran. But yeah, it has to be a decision for Kai to win, and I would be thinking that Duran can end this at any moment with his power.
I wasn't going to tell you this, but while you were in the bathroom, I said I thought one way or the other this fight ended inside of 2 rounds. But I wasn't going to tell you in case I was wrong. But I'm sure one of these narcs online watching will tell you anyway. Oh, it's just like that.
Oh, okay, slip. I thought Duran just got knocked down. I was going to be shocked.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
he
it
slipped
was,
off the clinch.
Yep. That was a good call. So about 20 seconds or so left here in the first round.
Duran is dangerous the whole time.
Yeah.
Stewart will get more confident, I think, as he goes on, but the confidence could be dangerous. If you just see the stature and the build of these two men, you got the more longer, lean, lengthy frame of Stewart, but there's just this ridiculous compact power from Duran.
Is Stewart an actual righty or a lefty? Do you know? Because I only ask because I know that he kept switching with his stance. And it seemed like at least early on that might have given Duran a little bit of a problem.
I want to say he's naturally orthodox, but he's a wrestler. So if you've ever wrestled, they usually have you fight with your power hand forward. So it's not unorthodox to see wrestlers kind of do a lot of that switching because they're just more used to shooting for that pressure off that first leg. I think that's also why he, on that left side of his face, is why he's eating so many shots because he's shooting in and then dropping that hand down.
I got you. Okay.
I'm not sure if this is new or not, but I think we have corner mics now with the BKFC. We've been doing some of these live, and I've been there live at some events. So if I'm wrong that that's new, we'll let you guys know. But first round is down, and I felt like it was a close round. I think Duran landed the more powerful shots, but I wouldn't be surprised if Kai had the volume and he had forward pressure.
Yeah, I don't know that either one of them did too much more than the other to stand out. But, yeah, if you think it was Duran, I wouldn't argue with you. Like you, I wouldn't be surprised if the judges saw for Stewart. So.
And you're getting a lot more activity. There we just got a clean left hook knockdown. Kai Stewart just knocked down Duran. Left hook right on the chin. The referee actually didn't call a knockdown. I don't know what happened there. That is absurd.
Wow.
Kai Stewart just got robbed of a knockdown. Well, I was letting my phone charge. I'm going to have to go grab it. I have to tweet about that. You are kidding me.
I'd like to see that replay. But, yeah, it sure looked like they missed that one.
The pressure right now from Stewart, the pace, it's wearing on Duran already. But, again, any moment that knockout punch can come. Big counter left hand catching Duran coming in. He is a power puncher, but he's looking for power. Stewart is lighting up the body. Duran just showed his back. I don't know how that should be a knockdown on its own. He just got the fight to be stopped in a position he didn't want to be in.
If you turn around, hang yourself
and the ref
on
had
the ropes
to save you
and cover yourself up, yeah.
Duran firing back, had an explosion, keeping Kai moving backwards. Right now, Kai is not getting the timing, but got some good body work all of a sudden going. Left hooks from Kai pushing Duran back. These single left hooks from Stewart are really catching Duran off guard. He's not reading them well at all. I am popping up from my phone. You're going to have to let me know if they give a replay that sends us with it.
All right. Yeah, I'll let you know that because I'd like to see both of those because I only caught the end of what may or may not have been a knockdown. It looks like we're about to get that here. But and there is no doubt whatsoever that was a knockdown. He just flat out dropped it. And then I think right here, oh wait, hold on. You know what? Maybe I'm wrong. From the first angle, it looked like it was a punch that dropped him. That angle, it looked like it was his own punch that he swung and fell down.
It must have been a fall down because if you saw it in the replay, Kerry Hatley actually does go down, but then he looks at somebody to the side.
Right.
So I'm guessing there's another official that called off the knockdown.
I wish they'd show that again because from the first angle, it looked plain as day that he dropped him with a punch. The second angle, it didn't look that way at all. But and they didn't show a replay of the other, but Duran absolutely just gave up his back and turned around and leaned up against the rope. And nobody was doing anything, so Stewart just went over there, started hitting him, and then the referee broke him up like it was a tie-up. Unless Duran's employing a Rocky style of I'm going to let him tire himself out by beating the hell out of me, and then I'm going to come back and win. If that's not his game plan, he's in trouble because Stewart, so far in round 3, Micah continues to dictate the pace and be the aggressor, and Duran really doesn't look like he has an answer.
There is some damage accumulating around that left eye of Stewart's from the jab of Duran, but this pressure is what matters. You can see it as Kai charges in, pushes back. He's making Duran wear his weight and fight his pace, and it's wearing.
And look, you're right. Stewart definitely has some damage to the face over that left eye, but I don't recall him eating that many devastating punches where it feels like Stewart's been aggressive and landed the harder punches and a lot more frequent pace.
And Kai just keeps coming forward at this point. Duran able to pick some shots, but he's not setting up. He's able to counter and react if Kai stays in the pocket. Mm-hmm. But Kai pushing forward in these clinches is being more effective. We're through 3 rounds, and Duran is not being able to implement his game plan. And what I mean by that is when I saw him fight Louis Lopez, you could see that the shots were landing full on. Mm-hmm. So you felt that thud, and it was deterring Louis from coming forward. It was deterring him from engaging. So Duran was able to put on that pressure. Mm-hmm. Right now, he's not able to land anything clean. It's almost like he has to earn that respect from Kai.
Right. Yeah, I'm curious, the cut on Stewart, I couldn't tell if it was over the left eye or if it was like the top of the nose. I still can't really tell the cornerman, the cut man doing his job there.
Outside the left eye, I want to say.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like it's hindering though, so it's at least outside the eye. So we're doing a live right now. We will have the quick results up on thecageminds.com, and once I take a breath after this, I'm going to figure out a way to write a story from all of this tonight, regurgitate it out there for you guys.
Did PFL finally end?
PFL did finally end. The Mads Burnell fight, I believe, was the main event. I still got to get the official scorecards on the Davidorch Yang Shamirov victory, but PFL in the books. Full winners at CageMinds.com, just missing one scorecard. Got a bear hug from Duran, and Stewart took advantage of it. Just rapid fire body shots. And it looks like Stewart's doing a really good job of trying to draw out what Duran wants to do, knocking that hand away and then attacking. Oh, wow. Okay, those were a couple of big power ones from Duran. Stewart right back on it, though, with his jab. keeping Duran on his back foot and in Stewart's corner. This left hook is somehow finding a way to land. Like, Duran has a high guard.
Yeah.
And Kai Stewart, a guy that we keep calling a wrestler, a grinder, it's this pace. He's finding these interesting ways to connect with these angles. And for as much power as Duran has, and I'm not going to negate anybody that's knocked out every one of his opponents, that's why he has this unbeaten record, I think he'd, be well served to go to the body. Oh, big right hand over the top, just wobbles the knees of Duran. Now right hand over the top. We do have a knockdown. Kai Stewart in the 4th round has knocked down Brian Duran. And while the 10 counts going on, Stewart is giving the breaking symbol, antagonizing Duran. But one thing I would not encourage. 10 seconds left in a 4th round that we finally have a definitive winner for, where the other 3 rounds, you can make a debate for either guy.
Yeah, with the knockdown not being called earlier in the fight, it feels like that's the only round. Like, I feel like Stewart probably has won all 4 rounds, but the only one I could definitely tell you he won was the 4th round. And the first 3 rounds, I could, depending on what the judges see, I could see them. I could see those scorecards being all over the place right now.
It's Florida. The hometown fighter is not having success. I'm not saying anything, but anything can happen when we're not seeing the open scoring.
There's a guy with an Al Pacino, Tony Montoya tattoo lose in Florida.
I guess at the end of the movie.
Perfect answer. I got nothing. Perfect.
Yeah. Kai Stewart talking all kinds of trash and wisely angles as soon as the round begins.
Exactly.
The kid is a thinker. Oh, straight left hand from Stewart. Duran kind of backing up to his corner on the pad.
Then he peppered him with a couple of right jabs.
And we get a slip from Duran trying to charge in, and unfortunately almost did the splits.
Yeah. And that was definitely a slip. No doubt about that one.
No doubt about it. That was overzealous trying to make something happen.
Yeah.
There's we talked about it, guys that bend the rules. Like Tyson Fury is really good at doing some things in boxing that you're like, that's a little cheeky. Kai Stewart has that in his arsenal, not all the time, but you'll see the run in, the push, some of the wrestling stuff, and you're like, that's not fully in the bare knuckle rules, but he's able to make that happen. We're in the final minute. Brian Duran always has that haymaker of a chance. He brought it for about 10 seconds there and put Kai on his back foot.
Yeah, he's been a lot more active in this round. I think he feels like he's got to get the knockout here if he wants to win. But with about 40 seconds left in this one, it might be too little too late.
I'm looking down at the fight, but if you look up in the background, you see the people on their feet.
Oh, yeah.
This is a beautiful thing for BKFC. The attention, the fan base, it's at a swell right now. We're down to the last 30 seconds. Stewart able to wrap up. I think the champion feels like he's done enough. He got the knockdown. There's not been anything definitive for Duran throughout the fight.
I think, well, no, that's it. I was about to say Duran might have one more flurry in it, but hey, not enough time.
That parlay from the preview show from the Associated Bettors with BKFC might have just got that parlay busted from Kai Stewart. Got some cuts around the right eye, inside the eyebrow, and outside for Brian Duran, who I think also has it's like a cut above his mustache.
I think you're right. Yeah, right under the nose, above the mustache.
Yeah, part of his mouth just got ripped up. Stewart, mustache still intact. Looks like
Not
there's
as handlebar-y though. It's a little droopy now.
got a little like opening on the side of his head. Quite a big welt towards the back of the head of Duran from that clinch work. 142 to 85 in landed strikes, and the knockdown goes in favor of the champion through 5 rounds.
Again, though, you never know what the judges are going to do.
But hometown fighter,
but yeah, it sure seems like Guy Stewart did more than enough to win this fight.
So Kai Stewart wins. Either way, either one of them win. And most likely, I think next up is going to be Jimmy Rivera. He sits at number 5 in the division, and I think we're looking at name recognition. Rivera probably sits atop of it. Howard Davis has not done enough yet, who would also challenge for the title.
Mm-hmm.
Kai's starting to knock out all the guys in the rankings. And I know he's wanted some big names. There was talk of a former champion, Dat Win, getting to jump the line and take the fight, but he never took advantage of that opportunity. So I don't know if it's going to be presented again. Man, he even has the Tony Montana tattoo on his arm.
Yeah. You going to tell that man he lost in Florida?
He looks like he stayed with it to me. And it's taking a moment here for the judges' scorecards, taking them to the center.
Yeah, for all the poop talking leading up to this and during the fight, both fighters very friendly with each other afterwards, congratulating each other.
I don't know if they really disliked each other or if they just kept trying to play it up because you have to in this kind of climate to turn up the temperature as much as you can to get the atmosphere and the reaction that they've drawn. It's a successful night for both of these gentlemen as BKFC stars. This is really taking a long time for what I feel like is a 4-1 fight.
Oh, you don't think.
It's a draw?
You don't think.
I don't know what I think.
Oh.
I think they might have lost the scorecard. There's like 60 landed strike difference. I think they're preparing them to go to a 6th round. Well, it looks like one guy's preparing to go to a 6th round and the other guy's not.
Yeah, I think we might be about to get a 6th round.
I don't know why we're going to get a 6th round. I really didn't feel like much was done for...
Well, let's find out. Oh, let's just go to the decision. We can give a round of applause to these 2 warriors after the decision. Okay. Okay, so Stewart gets, okay, good. And it was 49-44. So the decision apparently was never in question. Why in the heck do you think it took so long for us to get the judges' scorecards? What do you think was going on there?
Florida. Did they lose a scorecard? I have no clue what took so long. And that is what we thought. 4 rounds to 1, basically. I think you give it around the last round, maybe. Who knows? There were some close rounds in there.
Yeah.
See him getting 1, but Stewart pushed forward so much, landed the knockdown. There had to be a 10-8 in there.
This. So you have 3 title fights. Obviously, the crowd there feels like they got their money's worth. You can tell they had a good time the whole way through. But this was a really fun card.
Oh, this was a really good card.
Yeah.
It delivered. Alberto Blas is ridiculous with what he did in that co-main event, and it's hard to ever count out the durability and tenacity of Kai Stewart.
And see, I tend to think people with handlebar mustaches, they're compensating for something, that they want to look tough, but they're not tough. Kai Stewart proves that theory wrong.
Right? He is taking it and working it and using it. And yet, Jimmy Rivera, get in the square circle. There we go. The face-off. Biggest name in the division. They're going to make that fight.
Now, obviously, Stewart's a little taller. And look, let's keep it light, too. Rivera, not exactly at fighting weight, but he looks a lot bigger than Kai Stewart.
And Rivera's style is much different in bare knuckle than what we saw of him in the UFC. It's a great victory that he got over Daniel Strauss. And Kai Stewart literally just bit through a bucked up can and showered himself in it while shotgunning it. That's not good for the teeth.
No, that's not good for the incisors.
Pushed it to the inside, dominant to victory. A knockdown in the 4th. Should have been one in the 2nd as well, at least from the angle I saw. BKFC 62 in the books. We knew we'd get a new champion tonight. We got 2. Jared Warren makes 2 for 2 against Jomi Escoboza. Full results are up at cageminds.com, along with the PFL results from tonight. Story from BKFC 62. They'll probably be up here at about 30 to an hour. Don't forget, After Hours Podcast Network. Catch up with us on MMA After Hours, Pro Wrestling After Hours. Thanks for being a part of the live stream.
Yep. See you guys.
Next week we'll be at UFC 303, and the beatdown will be live from the Dapper Barber Parlor. Thanks for watching, guys.